Alright, let's make sure my sound's working. That looks good. You guys should be able to hear me. You should be able to hear the music. That should be good too. Hey there's Fisherman, how's it going? You guys hear me okay? I think you should be able to hear my sound too in the background. Yeah, I'm getting on a little early. The wife's gone most nights this week, so I'm just hopping on a little early. I technically have a college class tonight, but I don't actually have anything to say in there, so... Also, let me know if any of those are too loud. I can turn that down just a little bit like that if that's better. There's mood times here. Alright, good, good. You guys should be able to hear me okay. It's weird. The sound looks like it's coming through both, so hopefully that's not coming too strongly through both, but we'll see. Okay. Alright, well then let's hop down here to... yep, thanks for the pulling up the chair, you guys. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. We're gonna do a little cleanup I've got in my home, well, not in my home lab, but in my lab environment before we start. So I'm going to make a new file here, and I'm going to call this file structure.json, and I'll show you guys what we're doing here before I do anything. So the labs got messed up. The labs that I have for the environment, they got messed up. I don't know what happened to them. I don't know what they changed about the system. But if you look here, you were supposed to start out coming into just doing some commands in Linux, but now that command looking around Linux is way down here. It's like the 7th one. So something got out of order, but there's a way to fix this. Thoughts on the CCNA cert? I actually passed my CCNA 21 years ago. I got it back in 2002. I think it's an excellent cert. I still teach that topic in the college. Yeah, Akari Iman. Yeah, I'm on a little earlier than normal because I might have some other stuff to do tonight, so I wanted to get a little bit of something out there. I also got a little bit of more new music for the stream, so hopefully this stuff's good. I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit though, because some of it's louder than others. So I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. Hopefully you guys can hear it all right. But yeah, CCNA is a great cert. The thing that I caution people on getting the CCNA is this. Your CCNA, you are going to be doing, many thousands of commands inside of Cisco. You need to know all of their different pieces, and you have to understand how to do the tasks from start to finish from scratch with basically just the help of the command line, which is good, by the way, excellent to do. It's just if you're not planning on working directly with Cisco devices and directly in the networking field, like that's what you want to do, I kind of have steered people away from that over the years. Now, is the CCNA a great cert? Yeah. Is it where I cut my teeth and I got my start? Absolutely. It's absolutely like the standard, if you ask me, for networking. But that being said, I think that that's not what everybody wants to do. Like, I got in the industry. I think I've told you guys this. I got out of the Army in 2003 after a little stint in the beginning of the war in Iraq as an infantry guy, and I got out and I had my CCNA and I went to work and I got into networking, and I just didn't love it, so I moved over to server work because servers are more interesting to me. I'm still perfectly fine on the networking side. Again, I've been working in it for 20 years and I've been teaching over there. Yeah, and CompTIA, like the Net Plus, is more vendor agnostic. CompTIA won't ask you a single Cisco CCNA actual command line question. So yeah, that's how the Network Plus is. Yeah, and I could help people. I've never taken the Network Plus, but I say this sometimes about certs. I'm 100% positive I could just walk on and take that cert anytime, and I would pass it well. But that's also talking from a guy who's taught networking for the last 15 years at the college level. So I've been teaching classes that are around the Net Plus forever. So. Well, that sounds good. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. That's kind of the goal. I do like Simon quite a bit. He's pretty great. I've been watching him since I think he started streaming. Let's go hop over and let's fix this thing I got to fix real quick. So my home lab, not even my home lab, these are the labs for ProLug. They got out of order. They got mixed up. So I need to fix them. And this is what the fix for them kind of looks like. You set up these paths and then you do these scenarios. So what I'm going to do real quick is actually I'm just going to copy this part. I'm going to pull this part out because we don't need to override any of these titles here. So we need this, and really we just need to make a bunch of copies of this then. So we're just going to go here. I know it's a little messy to start, but just trust me, it'll be all right. And then what we're going to do for each of these is we're going to set the value that we want from right here. So we're going to take these exact names, and they got to be exact, right? I mean, systems world, system checking. And you know what? I'm gonna be, well, I'll do them all. I was gonna say I was gonna do them. We'll do them like this. You might say, and why don't you just copy them? Well, you can't really copy file names like that, can you? That's the annoying thing. So we'll just write them real quick. I do want these back in order. But I do want to do one thing. Well, I'll do it after one more. I want to do at least 4. 04, checking, networking, and ports. I know this leaves a lot of possibility for errors, and that's very frustrating, but we just got to do it. SSH and SCP. All right, give me 1 second here, guys. I got to focus. 06, screen, commands. All right. Let's do this real quick. I'm going to cut these off. I know it's weird. Just bear with me for a second. Control S. I'm going to push this. Fix structure. This should override anything that's in that lab environment right now. There's a more advanced version of the CCNA. There's CCNP and then CCIE. So CCNA, you do have to take first nowadays. Then you can go take there's 4 different pieces to the CCNP, or there, at least there used to be, and then you can take your CCIE, which is an Internet Expert. I never went that far in it. I didn't love it, so I kind of got out of networking, and I've told you guys a little bit about that. Let me check real quick too. Let me see if I can go look at the live stream. I want to see the live stream stuff. Try to look in the stream. Okay, good. All right, hopefully that stuff's all working over there. But we're hanging out over here on Twitch, and I'm setting this thing up. So my goal then is to come back over here and check this. I'm going to rerun this and see if these are back in the right order now, which they should be. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but only those 6, right? So that's the bad thing about this is once you do this, and they actually say that in the documentation over here. Once you do this, it will be what's set. So I have to get back over here, and I gotta finish these. Otherwise, my other labs won't be available. So let me go back here, go back over here, and then let's get this going. By the way, if you guys like any of the songs, it says what the name of them is down at the bottom. They are from the Heartbound soundtrack. They are free to use as long as you're using them with some other content with DNS. Working with DNS, that was 7. And then we jump up into our 100. We ordered these originally by kind of like almost like a college naming convention where we keep adding as we go further and further along. Okay, so I'm going to get these all put on there. 101 Apache server, 102 monitoring Linux logs, and then now I'm just going to have to keep this updated going forward. 103 is monitoring Linux telemetry. 104 is Influx and Grafana. And then 105 should be install antivirus. Install antivirus. 106. Yep. 106. Install Slurm. And actually, I'll talk a little more to that here in a second, because I think that that's a useful thing. 10. So okay, so now we're up to 201. So 201 is attempted user login. By the way, if any of these are interesting, let me know. I don't mind going through some of these today. If anybody wants to go over some of these. All right. And I'm going to copy those in right here. And then we'll just go, so 201, 202 is the next one. Attempted sudo access. And then we're going to have to go check to make sure that these work once they're all done too. So 202, 203, updating golden image. Then we have to do 204, which was our lab on building a chroot jail. If you've never done that, that's a good little process to understand. And then the one that we're not ready to actually do yet, but you know what, I'm going to leave them in here anyways, just because I think it's one that I need to start working on soon, and that is 301, which is Influx Grafana data visualization. And all of the 300 level are going to be the visualization pieces, or they're going to be specifically data science in there. Yeah, Mood Time, did you like the Ansible stuff? I was going to make a new Ansible lab too. I was going to show you guys some stuff around Ansible today, if kind of time permitted, and we would do that. So hopefully that's working. Also, I don't know. There's always this done. It's always kind of this weird thing over on the other side here. Let me see if I can just hit manage. Yeah, it looks like it's working. All right. I'm gonna hope that the YouTube side of things is going, but I'm not gonna worry too much about it. Updated lab structure. So we updated the lab structure. Let's make sure they're all there. So we'll close this down, pull this guy back up, give it a few seconds, right? Because it's got to pull the webhook. And we'll come down here and we'll look through this stuff. All right, so we'll let this run. We'll get it to update. Hey, there's the Salty. How's it going, Salty? We're just updating over here. We're in Visual Studio. We had to build this structure.json because our labs got out of order. I don't know what happened with them. They were created in this order, and they always showed up in this order. But then something, I don't know what happened. Something changed inside of the way Killer Coda looked at it, and all the labs were out of order. Like the first lab was like one of these other ones. And I didn't want them out of my numbered order, even though I don't show the number ordered to the system. So we have these 6 here because we tested earlier and they're back in the right order. So then we built the full structure.json, which allowed us to, I hope, it's only showing those ones. So let's go in here. Let's make sure I don't have any syntax errors. I don't see any syntax errors, and it does look like it's been, oh, I didn't sync it. Man, that's dumb. That's one of these Java, or not Java, one of these VS Code things that I'm not great at. Yeah, Salty, so we were doing this. I don't know if you were around yesterday, Salty, but we were talking about the Socratic method for, and a lot of people think of that as an argumentation thing, like, oh, I ask questions of somebody during an argument. That is one way to use the Socratic method, but the other way is to just sit and learn with a teacher, right? Somebody can sit and ask you questions and stuff. So we'll keep building on this as we go, this Socratic method of how we learn. We'll keep working on that as we go, and I'll keep adding to that, and we'll keep because, well, the other part of it too, Salty, is if I just tell you things, right? If I just sit here and by the way, I've done this for 15 years, so I feel like I am a good person to talk on this. I can sit up here and talk to students or you guys or whoever, And if I just tell you answers, you literally learn nothing. You literally just watch me do it, and you're like, ah, this guy's doing magic. I could never do that magic. But what happens is if I get you to think about it and you answer the question, or you realize you already knew the answer, or you don't know the answer and then you ask me, no, can you show me? A lot of times I feel like it sticks better. It's almost like it just automatically goes in that slot for you then, and it's just a better way to pick things up, I think. So, all right, let's see if this has read yet, and let's see if all the labs are there. I need all the labs to show up, or I can't kind of move forward. All right, they're all here. These do look like they're not correct in the order yet. Why is this one last? Linux configurations. Oh wait. Yeah. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are right. 8, 9, 11, 12. Those look right. Oh, because this one hasn't had its name fixed. So they are all right, but that shows the problem in my naming. This one, which is here, it doesn't have the correct, I haven't updated it yet. So see how it says description Grafana monitoring telemetry? I need to fix this one to say this is actually data visualization with Grafana, right? So this one is actually data visualization with Grafana, and then that comes through as the name, updated name of lab. All right, so I'm pretty confident that all of these ones are in the right order. So now the next thing I have to do is I have to do that same thing. Yeah, but if the student's curious and asks, meaning yeah, and also to kind of think about like a student wanting to learn something, yeah. So I'm going to come back over here real quick, and I'm going to do this same structure thing, the same idea here, but I'm going to do it in the Ansible one. So I'm going to close that down, come over here, close down the Linux labs, go into the Ansible labs, and make a new file, call it structure.json. That is a requirement of the name. It has to be structure.json. And in there, I'm going to drop this, but now I'm going to use these ones. So 01 is going to be install Ansible. And if you guys are in there, you'll see that these are out of order too. So this was another one that this one probably frustrated me the most, because the Ansible ones have to be done in the most order. If you jump in and you're just like, oh, we'll start with the Enterprise Ansible Playground. No, that's the last thing I want you to do. The first thing I want you to do is install Ansible. And then I want you to do the host file. So like these got all messed up in their order. So I got to fix them. So this is my effort to fix things that got busted outside of my control. And I had read a thing once that said, hey, you could manually check these and manually set them if you want, and I didn't do it. I was like, it's good. I'm putting them in order by this name like this, and it's all good. And I never realized that just one day out of the blue it could change. So let's get this how we want it, and then we can move on with the labs for the day. Ansible playbook staging. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask me. You guys are always welcome to ask anything you guys are interested. Ansible playbook. So this one should be playbook deployer, and then we'll be down here to Ansible. 07 is Ansible playbook Jinja templates. And I have a new one to make today. I was actually pulling data out today at work. I was doing something specifically with comma separated values. And I've done it a few other times before, but I had to pull some data about the whole system that we had. And I thought people might want to see that. So I actually have that. I could do that as either a lab, or we could build that today as a lab. We would make it the lab 19 down here. So let's get down. Let me get through this a little bit more, and then I'll build that for you guys if you want, and we'll do that as part of our lab. Ansible. This next one is 08, which deals with Ansible playbook Jinja reporting. And then, yeah, we'll just get through what we get through, guys. That's what we do. That's what we do here. We get through what we get through. And I appreciate anybody that wants to hang out and do stuff with me, even though I'm just kind of stumbling, bumbling around with stuff. And the songs make me feel like I have to do it all fast. I'm just kidding. 10 Ansible, 10 vaulting. Ansible and variables. All right, now we'll go to 11, and 11 is Ansible message of the day. Push. If you've never pushed a message of the day, that's a good one. It's a real useful thing in systems world. Let's do 12 is Ansible system facts grouping. If I may get 1,000, your ordering won't work out. Oh yeah, Salty. That's true. That's true. Very true. I can always just keep adding though. All right, 12. What did I get to? 13. And Ansible create users. Man, I forgot making that one. That one should be fun. 13. What's our next one? 14. Ansible package management. That one's kind of around like installing and removing packages with Ansible, updating servers and that kind of stuff. 15 Ansible. The 15 where we start to deal with Ansible Galaxy and roles, I kind of I roll that into all of this stuff later around Ansible Enterprise Sandbox. The Enterprise Sandbox makes you download a different a Git repository that I have publicly available, and I'm just going to keep adding to that for you guys to use so you can see how we use Ansible in the enterprise. And there's a few things in there now that kind of work. All right, web server env deploy. All right, by the way, if you guys catch me making any kinds of crazy wild errors, please let me know. Sex security, not security, sex security. All right, 18 is Ansible NFS deploy. And then the last one is the one that is probably the longest there. Yeah, mute time. There's our book. We that's just a big book of labs for people who want to go a little further in. You know, they want to ask. Some people, when you do labs, you just put your head down and just burn through the labs as fast as you can, right? But that doesn't work for everybody. Some people need to sit down and kind of think through them and write stuff out and that kind of stuff. So the way the book ends up working is, I didn't keep a copy of it open, but it's just extra additional questions. Better sex security than sexlexia. I like it. All right, so we've saved that. We're going to say updated structure of Ansible labs. Let's commit it and push it up. And for people that aren't familiar with kind of how that works, over here, the labs are a certain way, right? And they're all out of order right now. But if we go back to just our labs here, and if you're on our labs and you're the creator, you'll see that it's going to call the webhook here, and it's going to update because it's keeping track of when that repository changes. And now that that repository's changed, it's going to update the order of these labs here. So we'll let that run. It's going to update for a second there. You guys should see that spinning. As soon as that's done spinning, we should see, if we go to Ansible Labs, we have them now in order. Ah, but 7 is busted. I like that, how it comes up red. 7 and 16, 0, 7 and 16 are busted. I must have named them wrong. So let's go look at 7. Ansible Playbook, Jinja templates. -7-Ansible -playbook -Jinja -templates. No, that definitely looks right to me. Ah, nope. Jijna. I did that to test you guys, and you guys all passed. Good job. And then 17 has an error too. What's 17's error? Package. Clean up. Sex security. Wait, was it 17? Hold on. Let's go look. It was 7 for sure. 16. Sorry, it was 16, guys. It was 16 is busted. Web server env deploy. Ah, there's no Ansible. Did I leave 16 off with no Ansible? That's funny. I don't have an Ansible in the name. That's funny. That's the only one that doesn't have a name in there. All right. Let's try that again. I did that to test you guys, and you all passed. All right, so let's go to Ansible or fixed errors, right? My errors, but still errors. Push that up. I think we got them all. Umoon, I probably should rename the folder for completeness. That's probably, you know what? That's probably the better practice. Let's just rename this to, and then over here, we'll give that the old Ansible as well. No, what happened? Okay, good there. And then here. I think that's, you're probably right. That's probably the better thing to do. Ansible -web -server -env -deploy. Too many dashes. Ansible web -server -env -deploy. Yeah, I think you're right on that one. Fixed name and pathing. Yeah, that's probably, you're probably right. Wait, hold on. Cancel. Let's save everything. Save. Yep. I don't know how all this stuff works, so I just panic and make sure I save everything before I sync. Push it all up. Or take Ansible out of all. Yeah, that's true too. That's true. Yeah. Since Ansible is there. However, I don't have it on some of these other ones. You know, it's funny, and I didn't show you guys this, but you can also override the titles here too. So I could have overrode whatever title. Hey, there's Robodom. How's it going, man? We're just messing around on here, and we are fixing a problem that had popped up the other day in my labs. Again, I don't know what caused them to switch. I don't know what the impetus was on the other side for all this stuff to break, but hopefully now they're all good. I'm hoping they're all back to good now. 16 might be busted because it's going to take a while to repopulate that lab. So we'll give it a second. Oh no, I got a mistake. For 16, there is, oh yeah, was there an error in my structure on 16? In the folder name? Oh yeah, oh geez. Did I, man, it's like I messed that whole thing up. Yep, sorry guys. Yep, that was my bad. I must have hit, I knew I hit a button somewhere. Yeah, I knew I hit a button somewhere, and I was like, where the hell did I miss that? Alright, fixed pathing. So that's technically a path, right? Yeah, that stuff's technically a path. Hey, thanks for the follow, add sign. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. We are just building stuff. Yeah, I should probably add that one down here, Ansible, and then probably on the first one too. Although the first one, I think I made it install Ansible, so it was different. I'll fix those. I'll get back around. I'm being lazy right now. I don't want to do it. But let's build a new Ansible lab for today that I think that you guys might like, because I think that this one probably would be fun for everybody to work on. So here's one. We'll make one. We'll make this one 19, and we'll call this one Ansible Um, let's call this one CSV report, right? So we'll do an Ansible CSV report, and what I want to do with this one actually is I'm going to end up stealing from myself, and I love to steal from myself. I'm going to copy 15 Galaxian roles and make it into 19. So let's copy 15 and paste it into here, and then we're going to we're going to rename this one as 19 Ansible CSV report. That's good. I probably should. Yeah, we'll leave it like that. I'm lazy. So we'll go in here and we'll build this one real quick, and then we'll make sure that it comes up. Oh, also apparently we're going on ad break. So normally on ad break we would watch Ranger Cam, but Ranger's all busted right now. So well, Ranger Cam's not busted, and neither is my system. However, my internet connection's busted, so I'm on my backup internet right now, just for reasons, which is super flippin' annoying. Plagiarism is the... Hey, Robdom, can you verify if YouTube is working right now? I don't, man, I don't know. The internet's not good. My primary internet is still shooting up at all times to super high latency, so I am on my backup internet. I am not sure what Cox is doing. It started on Saturday before I got home from Vegas, and it has been doing it since Saturday morning. And I have evidence that it's been doing it because I keep tracking out all the time to the web. No, well, they shouldn't be. I mean, I would hope not. But this is it's just a high latency on the ISP side. Super weird. All right, it's working over there, Robodom. Appreciate it. You don't have to watch in both places, Robodom. I was just checking. I don't really have anybody chatting over there, so that's fine. All right, looks like we're on ad break, so I'm gonna keep building this for a second. But feel free to not feel too much like you guys have to. Well, I don't know. Not everybody's here during an ad break, so I'll keep running, and then anybody that falls a little behind can kind of catch up a little bit. All right. So what am I doing here then? In this environment here, I've got to give it a new name. So I'm going to call this Ansible. Generate Ansible to generate CSV report, right? So maybe you want to get a CSV report of a bunch of your systems, and we're gonna kind of break this all up. You may delete. Yeah. Moon, I've had a YouTube for years. I just never had uploaded anything to it, and I did finally put something on there, and we're kind of live streaming over there too as well. For anybody that prefers watching it, I don't know if anybody would prefer watching on YouTube, but at least there's some persistence over there. There is our network primer that people tended to. I think people really like the network primer, and there's also the high performance compute thing that we talked about over there. Yeah, Moon, that's probably true. I've watched a lot of people blow up on YouTube, and that's probably fair. And the goal, of course, all this. By the way, guys, I don't know if everybody was tracking, but down in Discord, we were 2 members away earlier today from being at 900 members on our Discord, so that's pretty good. .NET Conf was having technical difficulties, that's why he came over. Okay. .NET Conf. Yeah, I had a bunch of technical difficulties yesterday. That was no fun. But okay, let's keep working on this then. We're going to stick with the backend image being Kubernetes 2 ADM or 2 nodes. That just means that we get 2 systems that we can use, and that's perfectly acceptable for these labs because then we just run Ansible and configure them. On the intro side of things, and on the setup side of things, we install Ansible and we install Tree just in case anybody needs it, so that's good. In our index.json, we can change these as we change these different steps to be all the different pieces that we need. All right, so that's good. And then our assets are things that we might want to add in, and we can change these as we go. I'll leave the servers. Let's see, do we want to change servers on this one? we don't actually need to worry about any of that stuff for now. So we'll just leave that as it is, and we'll leave this as it is for now. So it'll be good. And the structure JSON, we can save that and close that so we don't accidentally change anything over there. All right, so let's get into our playbook then. Like how are we going to get this playbook working? And what I like to do, I'm a big fan of kind of like stealing stuff from myself. I like to go over here and take things that I have written, and I like to take notes and grab notes and put stuff in here for myself. So I'm going to show you guys kind of how we're going to do this lab and how we're going to build these pieces. These are going to change, the packages install YAML and packages update, because those aren't going to be the actual things that we do anymore. We're probably actually going to call these, let's just name them now. We'll just rename them here. And just for now, I'm going to call them I'm going to call them data. Let's just call them data gather.yaml. That's good. And then this other one here will just be, we're going to rename it to data gather.j2. That's fine for now. You might say, but that's not the content. Yeah, I'm going to change the content anyways. I'm just renaming the files and allowing them to still exist. So we'll just pull this stuff off because we still need some of it. That's actually going to be just fine for what we want. And we're going to call this data gather. Data gather playbook. This is an arbitrary name, so it can be anything we want. And yeah, then we'll go over here. And let's talk about the type of data we might want to gather out of our system real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S over here. And since I stole this from 15, which was Ansible Galaxy and Roles, I'm going to go into the playbook Ansible Galaxy and Roles for me to do this here. So I'm going to link this to you guys. Wait, hold on a second. Hold on. We need to go back. We need to make sure this is good. Hold on. It's good now. Okay, so 16 is good. It's not busted anymore. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to link this to you guys. And anybody that wants to do the lab with me, hold on. Let me get rid of something real quick. Let me get rid of that because we don't need that up there. And let me copy this. And I'll pin this for you guys. And I'll leave this pinned for the next... I'll leave it pinned until I unpin it. And that now we have a pinned message. And what's going on here? Am I looking at too many of these scenarios at once? Might have to close that down. Shoot, can I leave another one open somewhere? I don't think I have another one open. That's Ranger Cam from last night, in case you guys are wondering. Nope, I don't have any other of them open right now. I don't think. Sometimes you just gotta close the page down, and it'll register that you're done with the other lab. So let's see. Or maybe I started them too quickly back to back. I'll give it a second. Yeah, one of these days I might get the Plus membership for Killer Coda, because I normally don't get affected by this, but it's almost always that I have something else open in the background somewhere. And, or sometimes I'll just like, I don't know, I could just log out and re-log back in. By the way, again, I tell you guys Killer Coda is free. I have never done anything but sign in with my Google on them, right? Like, you can simply go in here and just do stuff. Yeah, it might be that. Yeah, it might have just been too many updates. But I'm gonna go steal this. I'm gonna use this lab. So I pinned the lab for you guys. Anybody that wants to get in the lab with me can do it. I went to the wrong one there. It's Ansible Galaxy and Roles in a Playbook. This is the one that we will do first, and this is me pretty much right now. I love that. I love Futurama. I love all that. We're doing it live. And then what's my other one I got? Homer, are you just holding on to the can? all right. Let me get rid of them. Wait. Oh, wait. So I added that one. I need to get rid of that one. All right. All right. All right. Give it a second here. Yeah, this one. I don't have another one open right now, so kind of strange that that's locking me up there. I can get rid of all these because I'm not getting any data on these anyways right now because I'm not connected on that side. Shut up and take my money's pretty good too. Yeah, that's fair. Let's wait for. Okay, there's my environment. So if any of you guys want to do this, oh no. I came up for a second and then I went away. Oh yeah, maybe you guys are right. Maybe I was doing it too fast. I'm gonna save this one. I'm not gonna push this one up until after we go and fix some of the data first. So we're gonna fix some of these. We're gonna build the playbooks and make them work, and then we'll go. So get in the lab if you want, guys. The labs are free. You could do the labs even if I wasn't around, right? But this one we're gonna do the lab and then we're gonna build lab 19. So we're kind of using 15 to build and prove all the pieces that we need for 19. Okay. And this is a thing, I actually did this today. This is a real use case from work. This is a real thing that I did today for a set of data. And it's actually funny, it looks very similar to stuff that we did last night on stream here when we were hitting these different Linux commands and talking through, could we do this and could we do that? Because after we answer a bunch of times in a row that we can do something, that's when we start to think maybe about automating it, right? Like I know I can do this thing, so maybe I don't need to maybe I don't need to just manually kick it off anymore. I could use some tool, right? And Ansible's a great tool. Ansible's got a great cult following because it is very useful. But maybe there's something else. And time, if that doesn't come through, just drop it in the Discord and I'll post it. Whatever that is, that'll be my risky click of the day. So if you drop it in general or something, I'll pop up that on stream. Also, yeah, we're only 2 members away, so if we get anybody new in Discord, then wait while we try to reload. Try to reload the page again. That's what it's saying. Give me the old reload. All right, here we go. Hopefully I'm in. I haven't messed nothing up here too bad. We're going to let Ansible install itself. So again, you guys could be on the lab with me. I'm going to cat root hosts. And I'm going to have that little file that was dropped in by the server. So I've got 2 hosts in this file that I can hit. And right now, if I just want to use this file, I can do some very, very basic commands and hit all the servers. So I'm just going to make a directory here called Ansible. It doesn't have to be uppercase, it could be lowercase. And then I'm going to cd to Ansible. And then now if I pwd, I'm in root Ansible. That's where I'm at. And all I need to do then is say, in here, I like to, within my Ansible directory, I like to make a directory called roles, right? I think that may even be a set of steps that I make you do over here. Make a directory, root playbooks, or you could do root Ansible, whatever you want. You know what, I'm going to do I'm going to do this exact one, and then I'm going to just cd into there. And now I'm down in root playbook roles. So, okay, so I'll use this exact same set of steps to start. And then if I needed to, I could build, I'm going to change this one a little bit. It's going to be Ansible Galaxy init, and it's going to be data_gathered. So we got to change it a little bit, right? Because we're doing it for a new lab. And this is going to build this is going to be our command that we're going to use. And now if I do a tree in here, you're going to see all of these things that were just created. One of the cool things about Ansible, I think this is very, let's call this Python-esque and not Go-esque. If you make a bunch of things in Ansible, a bunch of directories with a bunch of mains that can have default and files and handlers and stuff, and you don't use them, it doesn't care. I learned this from watching Salty long ago when he was teaching us about Go in one of our brown bag sessions at work, where, like with Python, you could do whatever you want and you can import a bunch of stuff and nothing's gonna care. But with with Python, it doesn't care. I mean, you might get your editor to yell at you, but it doesn't care. But Go does. Go absolutely cares. You can't just have defaults and not use it. But you'll find that when you're kind of playing with what I like to think of the Plinko machine of the systems world, you have to be ready for everything, whether you use it or not. Yeah, and Go is very strict. Yeah, and I learned that from Salty, watching him. I think he was compiling some stuff and showing us, and so in here, like we're only gonna really use we're gonna put something in templates to be able to grab our J2 template, and we're going to work in tasks main. So all of our tasks are going to be inherited down here in this role. But handlers, if we don't use any handlers, it just sits there empty. That file won't do anything. It doesn't matter. It's actually a compiler. Yeah, yeah. If you're just sitting there mucking stuff around, it doesn't. Yeah, it won't work. Whereas like if I were to pull up like my Spider Python, you guys would see all the imports that I've done that I don't use anymore because I've commented them out, and it tells me, oh, you're not using that, and I'm like, whatever, buddy. I don't care. This is a data pipeline. I don't give a shit. Efficiency, what is that? All right. So the point is, we've built this, and now I've got all the pieces in place for me to build this the system that I need. So I'm gonna pull back up over here, and I'm going to grab this out, because again, I love to steal stuff from myself. And I'm going to ls down here in, yep, and I'm going to vi data underscore gather dot YAML, right? And I'm going to drop this in. So now I've got the data gather, and all of my tasks can just be, actually I don't even need tasks anymore, I'm going to use roles. And the roles are going to be inherited down here. Where is it? I'll just go steal it from over here. Whoops, not there. Here. I'm just going to steal it out of here. It was one of these originally. Oh, you know what? It's funny on this one. I didn't inherit anything in here, did I? Oh well. Let's go find somewhere where I did do it. Nope, didn't do it there either. Oh, I think I did it in here. Nope, did those all manually too. Man, where did I inherit roles at? I never did it in here? Could have sworn I did it in one of these. I can't be that... Guys, I cannot be that lazy. Okay, here it is. Here's my roles. So here's how I can inherit roles. I told you guys I love to steal stuff from myself. So my roles are going to be... I can leave tasks up there. And even though it's empty. And then... Whoops. Oops, Control-Shift-V. Actually, screw it. Just delete that line. Alright. Now, the roles that I'm going to inherit are simply going to be by name. And this one, I was doing some little kind of tomfoolery, but I really don't need any of that. All I need for this role is going to be its name. So, NFS server doesn't exist. In this case, it is data... What was it? Gather? Yeah, data gather. Yep. That's what Galaxy Init data gather. Okay, good. So now that's going to inherit that role. And what's happening here is when we run this playbook, data gather role, it's going to inherit a role from the roles directory. So if I cd into roles, actually I just vi in roles. Down here I've got data gather, tasks, main. This is that thing from that tree that we saw earlier, right here. Data gather, tasks, main. So now, all of my tasks are going to be inherited out of this role. Now, this might seem kind of like I'm being a little bit overboard, but then the nice thing about this is any of these roles can be inherited later by other tools. How's it going, Dempsey? We're just going through building a lab out. I think we're over on YouTube, but maybe not. And I'm going to go ahead and start building in some tasks here that I need. So I didn't show you guys the structure of what we're doing, but we're going to gather in. We're going to gather a bunch of things. Here's going to be our general idea of what we're doing today. So what are we doing? The goal here is to gather a bunch of data. Right? About the system and show it via a CSV format, right? That's what we want to do. That's the end goal of what we're doing here. The pieces of data that we're being asked to pull out of the system look like this. We want to know the server make. Server make. That's actually funny. We want to know the server model. We want the node name or server name. We want the server make, right? And then we want the, hold on, I'm looking at my notes over here. We want server make, we want server model, if we can get that. And then we want the, the processor type. And we want the, maybe, socket numbers, right? And we need the socket numbers for Slurm, so that's something that we might care about. So these are the 5 pieces of data we're going to try to gather out of our systems. Roguedom, yeah, hopefully I'm live over there. Hopefully people are getting this stuff. And we got to pull this data in. So what I can do really quickly is I'm gonna pull in how I would get my proc type of my socket, and then I'll show you guys how we can check all the other things. So I'm going to go ahead and say that to gather this part, for as best I can tell, I can get this from facts. I should be able to get these things right here. These first 3 things I should be able to get from facts. My processor type I should be able to get from a command, and socket type or socket number I should be able to get from a command. So let me try doing this real quick. I'm going to say to gather processor type, I'm going to use a command something like this, shell, and then I'm going to say ls CPU, and then I'm going to grep for socket. I'm looking at my notes from earlier, but grep for socket, and I'm going to cut -d colon, so I'm going to split on the colon, -f2, and then I'm going to maybe do something like an awk to cut this down so that I only see the one that I care about. And it's going to strips off all the leading characters right there when you do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and say name, gather socket, gather socket number. And then that's going to look a lot like this line, except I'm going to change this socket right here. Wait, actually, the first one I wanted, processor type, was a value of model name. And then down here was socket. Okay, so that should gather the things I want. And then I should be able to debug everything if I'm doing this right. So debug everything for the most part. Oh, I do need to register these as variables. So if you're going to use variables, you also need to register them. So I need to register my variable, and this will be proc type, and my register will be socket. I'm just going to call them that, proc type and socket. So I did it work. I'm not great at naming variables. And I'm going to debug everything right here. I'm going to say debug, and I just want to see for the var of all the variables. I'm going to do a little trick here where we look at the item, and then we're going to loop over all of the items. And the items are, from the facts, I should be able to say Ansible hostname. I should be able to say Ansible system vendor. That should be a value I can pull out of Ansible. Ansible product name. And then I should be able to do down here proc type.std out. So that's the standard output of that variable that we captured up there. And then socket type, right? Is this a typical format of an Ansible playbook? Yeah, this is absolutely, well, except I just threw some values at the top that I wanted to be able to look at, but you don't have to have any of these in here, no. And then socket.std out, right? Yeah, but this is this is relatively straightforward. Robodom, yeah, as far as we would normally do it. So now to run this, I would say Ansible -i root host. So I'm going to use that host file. And then the playbook that I'm going to use is data gather. And if I run this, it's either going to break everywhere. Whoops, Ansible playbook. If you're going to run a playbook, you got to use Ansible playbook, right? And if this works, then it's going to go and it's going to gather all that data from those nodes, and then it's going to print them all out. So let's look at if it worked. It ran. It said, I'm going to gather all the facts from those machines, and then it gathered those two other pieces of information we needed, and then it tried to debug everything. So the first one for control plane, it went for the Ansible hostname, and it printed out control plane for the item Ansible hostname. Then for control plane, it went to the Ansible system vendor, and it did find a variable of KubeVirt. The Ansible hostname was for node 01. So now, look, they're coming back out of order, but node 01 had node 01 for the hostname. Product name didn't have a variable. It had none, so there was no product name, but that's fine if that's what we're getting out of our system. KubeVirt, none. Proc type was, here's our processor type that came from that command we did. And there's our other processor type. And then here's our number of sockets, because we need that again for like Slurm and other tools and stuff. Okay, I was able to get all of that data and prove that it could print out, right? So this would be our, let's change this name here. It's still going to be, well, I don't want to change the name. We'll leave the name as it is. But our command is going to be, so more data gatherer is going to be, this is going to be our data gatherer here. So again, I like to grab stuff and just throw it over here in my notes as I'm building things. I do this all the time. Whoops. I do this all the time as an engineer. This is how I kind of keep track of things. And then down here for its role, right, I'm going to cat out its role, data, tasks, name. There's everything that works for it as we went to test it, right? So there's boom. And sometimes I'll put something in here so I can see them real easy, right? Where my files start and end. But now you might say, well, Scott, hold on a second. That's all good. But you didn't output it anywhere. You didn't do anything with that. And I'll say, you're right. I didn't output it anywhere. I didn't put it anywhere. So let's see if we can't output that now into a thing. So I'm gonna make a directory for reports, right? So I'm gonna make a directory. And by the way, I like to make the full path name just because of, in these labs, I don't want people to be in the wrong place. So we're gonna do a make-dir-p on root, playbooks, and then reports. Now you might say, you didn't need the -p, right? No, you don't, but I'll tell you what, sometimes you just get into a weird situation in these labs. So I'm just going to leave that up here at the top of like something that we need. And I'm going to make a reports thing. All right, so then let's go and let's build our Jinja 2 template now. So again, wherever we're at, if we go into roles and we do a tree is a good command for you guys that are, maybe you're learning Linux for the first time and you need to get in there and see the structure. But for us, we're going to drop down into roles, data gather, and now we're going to go into templates and we're going to make a file. So we're going to cd into data gatherer and templates, and then we're going to touch, and we're going to call this one data gatherer or data gather.j2. Okay? Then we're going to vi that file, and in there, we're just going to add a bunch of things that we need for a .csv format, right? Because we want to print this out as a .csv format. So some of the things we're going to do to make this work is right at the top, we're going to say date. And then we don't really even need a space. We're going to say node name, because maybe that's what we wanted to see. Then we're going to say server make. And then we're going to say server, what did I say? Model. That's going to be the next one. And then we're going to go ahead and grab processor type. And then the last thing that we need to do on that is processor type. It's processor type and model, in fact. And then the last thing we're going to grab is socket number. And you might say, does this really matter, like with the format of it? It's a Jinja template, so it doesn't matter so much. All right. Some of this is going to start to get a little bit longer here, but let's get this going. So we need to build out in our templates for host and by the way, host is an arbitrary variable. You could use any name you want there to make this stick in your head. And we're going to loop over every Ansible play host with a special variable called Ansible play host all. So we're going to loop over every host in the play. If we start with a 4, we have to end 4 at the end of the template. So just know that that has to be there. And I'm going to say if, so I'm going to do an if condition, if host vars, so host, when you do this, the Ansible playbook is going to be able to call any host vars by the host name for whatever host that we're looping over for the playbook. That's what this is going to do. And we're going to say if that socket is defined. Now, socket was a variable that we found earlier, so I'm making sure that it's there. Then I'm going to do another if condition. Actually, I don't even need to do another if condition. If that's defined, then I know that I can do the rest of this. So I've got to output a format, and this is where it gets kind of ugly, but Jinja templates are not always pretty. Okay? Hey, Occident Prone, hopefully this stuff's useful. We're building a new lab. We're building it off of an old lab, so if you want to go into that old lab and do this with us, I'm gathering data out as I write the pieces over here on the right side, and then this will eventually be a lab. Yeah, Jinja 2, you're about to see how powerful this is, and I think when you guys realize that I used this the same thing that I'm showing you guys was something that my management asked me for today at work, and I slapped this same thing that we're doing right here together in a few minutes, and I pumped it out against 1,200 machines. We got 1,295 machines in my environment right now. And I ran this and I knew all this stuff about them. Right? Okay, so what now we're doing CSV, so please understand this is about to get really messy, but we've got to do it, and we're going to walk through the pieces of it. Every variable you call in Ansible, and then later in Jinja 2 looks like this. It is in double curly brackets. I know they're hard to look at. They're not the best, but everything in here can be filtered with a Python filter, but we don't need any of that. So I'm going to say Ansible date time dot date. That's going to be my first one. And then I can copy it, or I can also just go over here and say Ansible date time dot time. We're going to see this output in a little bit, so it'll make a little more sense for you. Also, this isn't going to automatically loop, so I apologize, guys. And you might say, well, Scott, why don't you just loop it yourself? You don't typically want to drop in any new line characters or anything in here, but I can take out any spaces if I want to try to make this a little cleaner. But just suffice it to say that this is all going on one line. Now, if I did that, I'm going to probably put one space here, though, because Jinja does respect spaces outside of variables. And I'm going to put a comma here. So Ansible date time dot date and Ansible date dot time are on the first comma separated value, which goes with this column right here. So when this publishes and comes out as a deployed template, date is going to be populated with that. If you understand that, everything else is going to make sense here in a second. But we have to loop over the host and the counting variable. This is where it gets complex. We're doing this on only one node. Yeah, we're only doing this on one node, and we're populating it with all of the hosts from the playbook by each name. So each of these variables is going to look like this. So we're going to go double curly bracket, host vars, square bracket host, because it's going to put in the host there each time, dot Ansible host name for the first one, comma. Now we're going to do the next one. I can take that space off there too, if people prefer that. The next one is going to be host vars for each host, right? We're walking through the host, dot. And this one, by the way, these are all the names that I called earlier in the playbook. So when we were back here and we called them all out, we're going to call each of these ones here. So if you're like, where's Scott getting this list from? Well, one, I'm cheating off myself over on the side. But two, it's right here. It's right over here on my system. So I'm going to pull this over. It'll be a little easier to read. But let's keep going. So the next one, hostvars.host. We did Ansible host name. We need Ansible underscore system underscore vendor, right? And then we got to close out our curly brackets. Our next one is going to be double open host vars, square bracket host, because it's going to put the host in there each time it walks through. Ansible underscore product underscore name. Close that up. Comma. Right, we got a new one now. Open up a new curly bracket and say host vars. Host dot Ansible. Ansible. So sorry, this one will be one of my two created and registered variables. Proc underscore type dot std out. Right. It's a lot of curly braces. It sure is. Comma. We're going to open up the last one and say host vars host dot proc. This last one is dot socket dot std out. And this song is very fun, isn't it? And then if we have a if statement, we have to close out our if statement. So we're going to close that out with an end if, right? And now we should have created the proper CSV values for this, but let's not let this is one of those, don't take my word for it. Let's run the template and deploy it and see it work, right? This is the goal of all this, is to get this to work. So we're going to do a PWD real quick. We're going to move up a few directories. And we can use the full path to that if we want, the data gather, but let's VI our data gatherer, and let's build, I'm in the wrong place big time. Let's VI our roles, data gatherer, tasks, template, main, and in here, we're going to deploy now the template, deploy the template. Template colon. And now in our template here, we've got to give a source, and the source is going to be where we're getting it from, which was this guy over here, data gather .j2, right? And the destination is where it's going to go, which is going to be root playbooks, and then reports. And then in reports, we're going to give it a special name. We're going to do a nice little fun name here, which is going to be report dot, and then we're going to drop in a Ansible date time dot ISO 8601 underscore basic underscore short. This is my favorite one to stamp, and we're going to name it a .csv because that's the type of file it is, right? And then there's two other things we need to do on this one. We need to make sure that it is set locally. Hold on. Gotta go. We're going to set it to run once. True. And then delegate to only running on localhost. Because it's only going to be on this one host that we stamp this template from, right? Never heard fun and report being used in the same sentence before. This is fun once it's done. Let's clarify that once this is done, this is actually quite a fun little. I'm going to grab that last little template piece here. Whoops! Oh, God damn. Here, it doesn't want to capture things right, and I'm going to put it right here on the end of this. So now we've got all those pieces of data for that connection. All right. So now, if we do a PWD and we ls in the directory and we do more on our data gather. By the way, this hasn't had to change any. We're still just inheriting that role. Now, the two things that we're doing, here's the playbook that's going to gather the data and write the report, and here is the report. So here's the template, rather. We haven't seen a report yet. Here's our data gather 2 template, and that's what it should populate with all of the CSV value data that we need. Now, this will be way cleaner when it reports out, but as I like to say, one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. So let's run it. The question is if it's going to work. Well, let's see. Let's see if it works. So it's going to go gather all the data. Oh, it broke everywhere. Ansible underscore play underscore host underscore all is undefined. So let's go figure out what's going on with that. We'll VI this. Ansible underscore play underscore host underscore all. Got something messed up here. Oh, it's hosts, guys. So I didn't expect anybody to know that, but that is special variables. and this is one of my favorite things to show you guys when we're doing Ansible, is one, go reference things, but two is this right here. When you get this to come up, if you think of Ansible, guys, I do this all the time in my plays. This is like the number one thing that will make Ansible enterprise ready for you. Are you guys ready? Oh, I'm gonna go take a break real quick. No, I'm just kidding, but I am gonna take a break here in a second. But I want to explain this first. If you think of it, hold on, let me come back here. Can you guys still hear the music even if I'm on here? Can you guys still hear right now, Robodom? I think you guys can hear me. Yeah. This and then music. I don't think. Yeah, I think I have an audio source here. Okay, all right. Just making sure the music source is there. All right. So listen, guys. This is super important, right? Super important for everything we do as we do a playbook, right? The way we run Ansible is not like you run a program. When you run a program, you expect all things to get to the end and work. In Ansible, I accept that there's messiness. So I think of so this is the most important thing I can tell you right now. If you're saying, "Hey, Scott's been talking a lot. Can Scott tell me one thing that will change the way I use Ansible?" I'm promising you this, it's this. This is what made me an enterprise level guy doing this against thousands of machines. The way Ansible looks at all things that come in is Ansible play hosts all. So they all start, so if this is a race, do you guys remember the old race games, or if you've ever watched people do hurdles and they have to hop like 7 hurdles before they get to the end or something? Ansible play hosts all is everybody lined up on that track, all 10 racers, and they're going hut, 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 hut. They're running, right? They jump over the first hurdle, one of them trips. That is Ansible play hosts. Everybody that's still running is Ansible play hosts, but the starting line is Ansible play hosts all. So I always joke around about this, but it's 100% the way I see it in my head. Everything you can possibly give me in an inventory file is like a Plinko machine. You're just dropping servers in the top, and they're going like this down and being separated out by different variables and facts that I'm pulling out of them. Not all of them are going to get to the bottom. What we started with was play hosts all. What we get to at the bottom is Ansible play hosts. Tremendously valuable for you as an engineer to know what failed. So if you give me 1,000 nodes, if you give me 1,000 systems or servers or nodes or whatever, and you drop them into my playbook at the beginning of a night to patch, I will tell you immediately 7 of them were broken before we started. I know that because I tracked that as we went. It's again, with programs, you guys expect everything to finish. With Ansible, it's a messy effing world. I don't know what state these. There's too many tens of thousands of things that this server could have busted between it. So when I'm doing my little Plinko machine of servers, I need to know which ones started and which ones made it to each of the steeples or each of the hurdles or whatever you want to call them. Steeplechase is a totally different mess, right? And people trip all over that one too. But anyways, Ansible playhosts and Ansible playhosts all are 2 reserved variables that will absolutely change the way you use Ansible, right? Because you can know when things are busted at any level of play in your playbook, and you can record that and send emails, batch them up, do whatever you want. All right. So we've got this. So we got that done. Anyways, enough talking. Let's run it. Oh, whoops. We're in the wrong spot, and I did the wrong... I'm doing the wrong name. There we go. All right, let's run it. Let's see this work. If we get a report, we've got a report. CD to reports. Now, CSVs are not pretty, but they are comma-separated values. So more more. Let's just do more on report, right? There we go. We've got this. If this is good, guys, what happened? Thanks for the follow, Peercoin. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to show you guys a little cheat that I do. This isn't the only way to do it, but I'm going to grab that, all that data there. I'm going to just make a new one of these, right? It's all one line, Good, good, good. And, oh, there was a space, so I could probably take that space out. And let's file and save as. And in my save as, I'm going to name this a alt file types .csv, test.csv, right? I'm going to save it in my downloads so I know exactly where to find it. Then I'm going to open up my downloads real quick here. And actually, here it is right here. I'm going to just go ahead and open it, and let's see if it's a CSV file. You know who loves that kind of shit right there? Management. Management loves this right here. Management doesn't bug me for like 4 hours. This is like me throwing a bone to a dog and then it won't bug me for 4 hours right here. That's what it is with management. How do I get management to leave me alone for another 4 hours so I can get real work done? Anyway, so look, guys, we built. I don't need to save that. We just built all the pieces to get a CSV, and then we can just grab everything out of our system now. So there we go. Boom. All right. Let me go back to my labs thing. I'm gonna say, get off me, management. Yeah. All right, and then I'll show you guys how I put this into a lab. Let's see. I need to grab my last little data here. There's a couple last little things. PWD. Let's cat out our. Let's cat this file here. Just because I want that. And oops. Ah, damn it. Okay. Let's go this way. Should copy on Mac. Okay, good. And that's this one here. Roles data. All right. Root. Playbooks. Roles data gather. Okay, yeah, that's it. All right. Good. All right, I'm gonna take a break real quick, and hope your supervisors don't watch streams. Yeah, nobody watches my streams. Robodom, if you don't know. I'm not worried about it. Everybody that knows me knows I'm insane anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Let's say quick break. Entertain yourselves. Alright, so entertain yourselves real quick. Robodom's in charge. Robodom was already all in charge. And let's walk through this. We'll build this as a lab. We'll push it up there. We'll see it go live. And anybody that wants to do this lab, we can walk through it and test. And then we'll go back and we'll do some of the Linux stuff again from yesterday, if that's okay. I think the Linux is the big part. Yeah, Robodom. By the way, guys, ask Robodom to explain why I had to make him a moderator. Because if I didn't make him a moderator, Nightbot was going to kill him. All right, got more water. Looks like we got the little prologue stuff going. We got labs, guys. You guys can always get in the labs even when I'm not around. You guys can always hang out on Discord even when I'm not around. Yeah, I mean, it's just motivating having people around doing this stuff. So, all right, let's put this together. Let's make this a lab. I'm gonna stop the countdown there, and say, yeah, I'll close out the timer window. We've built all the pieces that I think we need, except for maybe. Let's just grab one other thing here. let's do PWD. Man, that music is funky. That's the Oscar Quest from Heartbound. So I bought the Heartbound soundtrack. They say you can use it. It's right there in Steam. You can use it anywhere as long as you're not just putting their music directly on with no other content. As long as you're just using it as background music, you can use it. So I'm like, hey, they're a fun little stream. They're a fun little setup. So I put them on there. Also, we're one away, I think. We're one away from getting to 900 in our Discord, so that's awesome. We've been using that Discord for many years now, and it's good times. All right, let's get this little ad thing out of the way. It says the ads are going, but we're just gonna power through. And SM, thanks for the subscription. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. I do appreciate that stuff. Helps keep me motivated. Keeps you guys from having to see ads, so that's always awesome. So let's take all these pieces. Let's take all these different parts of this that might show up and put them into, oops, and this will be root, playbooks, roles, data gather, template, yep, that will be one, and then the other one is going to be root, playbooks, roles. Actually, the other one doesn't need to be made, it just needs to be populated. So, all right, perfect. That's all we need. That's all the pieces we need to make this into a lab. So, if anybody was doing the real lab would just be kind of running through the stuff on the left side. But we're making labs, so it's a little bit different for us. We're going to be down here. I'm going to back out of this because we're going to be waiting for a new Ansible lab to pop up here in a second. And let's run through and we'll build all the pieces. It'll be popping up. It'll be right here at the end, right next to this Ansible in the Enterprise. In fact, it'll be right over where this one is. But let's build it. So we did 18. Now we're down to 19. Ansible CSV report. And we need to, let's get rid of this because we're not using that one. And down here, we're going to need to add in that roles stuff, which is roles data gather. So that's going to be part of the playbook for data gather. And did I spell data gather.yaml? Okay, yep, that's fine. And the data gather.j2, we're going to need to add in this data down here, right? So this was our, whoops, this right here. Yep. Data gather j2 is that data right there. By the way, let's make sure it's all on the right lines. Yep, it's all on the right lines. That's there, that's there. You can get rid of those. Scroll this over to the right. A little ugly looking, but what happened to it? What happened? We didn't get all the data, guys. Ah, no. I haven't closed it down yet, have I? I have closed it down. I've lost all the data. That's okay. I know what the other pieces are. But that's funny that it didn't copy. Not so funny that it didn't copy, but it's, I guess, kind of funny. Let's see. Oh wow. Big deal. I don't know how. I didn't capture it all. But okay, we'll rebuild it. It's not that big of a deal. But then we're gonna have to test it a little more extensively after we rebuild it. Oh. Yeah, so Moo Time, what I do is one, my playbooks are designed to always finish. So you're gonna see in this lab, I didn't really do it, but stuff like this here, where any of these, when these ones fail, if these were to fail because for some reason you couldn't do an LS CPU, then I'm gonna switch this. Hold on, sorry. If for some reason one of these wouldn't finish, I would normally have a failed when false down here. And you say, well, that seems counterintuitive. Why would you not allow it to just fail and then be out of the playbooks? And I say, well, because sometimes some things fail, and I want to continue going anyways. It just depends on what I'm gathering or those kind of things. So a lot of times I will always test in a lower environment before I ever do anything in prod. So that's a big thing to know about kind of how I engineer things. But I will test against all the systems that I can in a lower or a test environment before I run it on other machines. And then I always have a thing in my playbooks. I could show this in my home lab. I think I have it somewhere. Maybe I have it. I might have it over here somewhere. Hold on. This is an important thing about how I do my playbooks. If you're gonna fail out of my playbook, I'm gonna catch you and report on you. So let's go to our Ansible code real quick. I might have to scroll up a little ways to find this, but here, look, here's some different things like how I do loops and stuff. There was an error in this one. This one's annoying. Always make sure you put brackets around that. But there's a lot of code in here. But one of the things I do when I report, there's a lot of code in here over the years, guys. Yeah, look, here's some stuff that I was doing for deploys. Let's see if I have the one. Oh, these were the ones for when we were building that lab for the web environment. Let's see if I have the one for, look, here's some Jinja templates I was doing. When I print out, that's all other stuff. I wonder if I have it. This is Vault, pulling data out of Vault. Let's do an AWS. Ah, here. So I always have this stamped at the top of my plays. And by the way, and this is all, guys, this is all code in there. So if you went into our Ansible code, and this was some relevant code from the other night that I was writing, what happens is, remember I said earlier there's Ansible Playhosts all, and then there's Ansible Playhosts? So what I do is, at the end of a playbook, when I go to stamp out that I patched a system or not, I do unreachable systems, and this will give me a report of all the nodes that didn't make it to the end. Because if the host was in Ansible Playhosts all, as we step through them, but it was not in Ansible Playhosts, simple little Venn type logic inside of Python. I know there's an easier way to do set theory, and that's how I used to have this written, but I lost it, and then I was like, I never went back and rewrote it. So this is a simple way to do it. I know I got a couple of people that are around down in the Discord that could rewrite that for me, because I know there's a way to just test, is this in one line, and that's how I used to do it, but it got lost to the ages, and I never went back and redid it. And then I go in and I look for individual things. So now I have a list of who didn't reboot today. Well, if you rebooted during patching, you should not have day in your uptime.std out. So I do a little simple check for that. And I just see which nodes, look, hey, they weren't unreachable. They made it through to the end. So now they're down here getting dealt with as where they actually rebooted today. And then hosts that didn't patch correctly, they don't have the right date time in history. So we did a history for, I think that command was like a yum history thing. I might even have it up here. This was CVSS creation. There's a lot, guys. There's so many things you can do here. I don't know where I had it. But anyways, this is a relevant template for Jinja 2 that people might want to do to see if things happened or didn't happen. And it's all in our Discord. It's all free. You guys can use it. If you have questions around any of it, let me know or let the guys know. There's quite a few other. I have a one of my superpowers is, if I had any, would be that I have been able to surround myself with other, even better engineers than myself. Not that that was super hard to find better engineers than me. I'm just saying that I tend to get them to gather around me. So let's fix this. I gotta write this code again, guys. I apologize. It's gonna take a little bit of time, but we had Ansible hostname and then we stopped here. So I got this nice and busted here. So I'm gonna get my data gather over here on my other page. And after host name, it was Ansible host vars host, and it was dot, and this one was Ansible system vendor, and then the next one was two open brackets, host vars host. We're going to put host in there every time, and it's going to put in the host as a counting host, and that was system vendor. So the next one is Ansible underscore product name, two open brackets, host. Salty Catfish, you can give me a hand? What's going on? What happened? I messed something up. Oh, I'm done with it. That was it. That was all I had to do. Yeah. And I don't strictly speaking need that space there, but I like it, so I'm going to leave it. And now I've got data gatherer and my host file. So I've got all the pieces that I need, I think, for all of this. Let's make sure data gatherer looks good. Okay. And then I need to make a file in here. I need to make a new file. And let's just make a, where the hell is it? New file. And this file is going to be called main.yaml, like that. And in here, we're going to make this main.yaml file. And you know, we'll keep all those things in there so people can see what they're gathering, right? And we'll just copy this down just like this. And hold on a second, does it? Did I catch everything? I hope I caught everything this time. Good. And I need to check to make sure that on the bottom here, all of these things, whoops. God fucking damn it, get the fuck out of my way. God, this stupid fucking system just keeps popping this one, like, super needy bubble up in the bottom right here. And I apologize for all the swearing, but, man, that was effing annoying. Alright, so we got all the stuff we need. Jeez. And you know what? I'm going to add something here that I don't normally add right here for the debug. I'm going to show you guys something that I don't normally add this, but let's see if we can get it to work. Thanks for the follow. I think I'm just going to call you a Madco. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. You know what? I won't add it. But there is a thing you can do, like this debug right here. Maybe I don't want the debug to show all the time. There's a newer Ansible thing, and I've never really used it. Ansible debug level. There's like a verbosity that you can set in your debugging, and I don't really use it. I thought it got, yeah, debugger on skip. So you can set your debugger level, but you can set debugger on actual tasks, and only when certain things happen can it debug. And actually, I don't want that. I want verbosity. Yeah, here it is, verbosity. So you can change the way that your debug module works. Again, I don't really use this, and I don't think it's in 2.9. Let's see if it's in 2.9. I should say where it's added at. So here's all of our stuff. Oh, I can say verbosity too, right? I don't normally mess with this, but you can do it, and then it'll only work and it'll only pop out if you want to actually debug this a little bit. So maybe we'll add that in, and then we'll play with it a little bit in the lab. But I'm gonna add it in, and then we'll make sure that the lab has you do it, because if it doesn't have you do it, then it wouldn't make any sense, and you would never see this run. So we'll do verbosity level 2. That's fine. All right. Control S to save it. We want to save everything. Make sure that everything's ready to run, and all of our pieces are there. Okay. So all we need to do now is say create and examine roles. That's good. And then playbook execution that gathers CSV data. Right? So we're going to create and examine roles. Create roles and templates. Yeah, create roles and templates. Playbook execution that gathers CSV data. That's good enough. Now we need to change these files down here, because this is our Jinja that deals with how our system is going to download each of these pieces. So okay, so let's do hosts. We're gonna capture hosts, and then we're going to push over data gather.yaml. We're gonna get our data gather.j2, and then we're gonna do this last one, which is main.yaml. And you might say, Scott, why does it matter, like, if you do YAML or YAML? You know, it doesn't really matter. You can do them any way you want. And I'm going to put this into answers, which is a file. Oops, answers that doesn't exist, but it will exist once the play starts running. Okay. All right, so I think we got all those pieces there that we need. So we're going to save that, right? Control S to save that. Now we got to go start making the playbook work. Let's see, main.yaml, host that. Okay. We have all those pieces. Text.json 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Okay, good. All right. So let's go look at our first step. Our first step is going to check to make sure that we have this, but roles is going to be data gather now. So we're going to fix that. That's going to be our test that lets you go to the second part of the lab. And what's the first part of the lab? This is going to walk us through how to do the playbook and how to make this all work. I'm going to unpin that lab because we're not doing that lab right now. So if anybody wants our labs, they are all there for you to do. But you just got to go to them there. There's all of our free labs. Oh. I thought I just unpinned it. What the heck? Unpin. There we go. All right. All right, stick with me here. So lab activities, we're going to create verify root exists. That create 2 galaxies. 1 galaxy inside of root playbook roles called. And the only one that we're going to do is going to be data gather. That's the only one we need. Update update the update and install. So update the data gather roles to properly do their functions, which can be referenced from root, packages, YAML files. So answers. There we go. All right. This should be good. All right. We need to change this top part. Your team has been using Ansible and decided they need to have better reusability and modularity for their code. Nope. Your team has been using Ansible and management has figured it out. No. Management has requested. That's like three like words together that are like the bane of us engineers' existence, right? Management has requested that you provide system information about all of the systems in your HPC cluster. You have decided to build your HPC cluster and give it to them in a format they can digest via Excel. You have decided to build an Ansible playbook that can report out in .csv format and make them happy. Well, you might not be able to make management happy, but you can at least do it in the CSV format. You guys want to hear something really funny, though, earlier? I was on a chat with one of the other engineers at work, and he was asking me if I could do this. And he's kind of the team lead, so he had to jump over and do some other stuff. And I think I've told you guys, in my HPC role, I'm just a contractor on the team. So, like, I don't have to be the team lead. So he's got to go and do all these management stuff. And I'm sitting there, and I did the first output of my report as CSF. And I felt so stupid when I got done doing it, because I'm like, I know it's a .csv file, but in my playbook, I wrote it out as a CSF. So I very promptly and very quickly deleted that and didn't let anybody know that I had done it. But now I'm telling all you guys. But anyways, I thought it was funny. All right, so let's update all this. Come down here. We're going to look at root host, make sure it's good. Note there are variables are now assigned to each of the servers. That's fine. That doesn't even matter for this playbook, so I'm not going to make you note it. Make the directory structure as required, and that's perfect. We're going to go down in there. Now that you moved into the directory, you can create the required role using Ansible Galaxy. And the only Ansible Galaxy we need to make here is data underscore gather. Data gather. And then here, we don't need to do the second role. And we don't need to check again, so we'll get rid of that. And then we say go into the data gather directory to update and create the right files. So we can VI, and this one is going to be data gather, and add in all of these things if we were going to do it. But we're not, you know what, we're not going to do it that way. So we could have done it like that, but I'm not going to worry about doing all that stuff. Let's just do this. Let's vi root main tasks main.yaml, right? And then the main.yaml like that. And the data that we're going to put in there would be all of this, but we're going to, instead, we're just going to copy it. So go into the, we're just going to get rid of this. So copy the data, the main.yaml from root answers. From answers to main.yaml so that it executes correctly. All right, so that's going to be a copy, and it's going to be from answers and main.yaml, and it's going to go into root playbook roles data gather tasks main.yaml. Now that you've done that, examine the playbook to see what is going to happen. I'll just cat out the file. And the file is data gather. Oh, what is this? Okay, yeah, we get rid of all that. Boom. We don't need to do any of that. Don't need to debug for now. Don't need to do that for now. All right. So, if you've done that part, you're going to be ready to. Then we got to do the same basic thing, but we're going to copy over. The template, so the Jinja 2 template as well. So copy the Jinja 2 template from answers into data gather.j2 so that it can be called so it can be reported out correctly. And then this one, we're gonna, this is all pathing, right guys? This all chutes and ladders. Everything needs to point at something. .j2 is gonna point to root roles, and instead of tasks, it's gonna be templates. And it's gonna be, it could be anything we want in here, but we need it to be data gather.j2. Now that you've done that, examine the Jinja 2 template to see what is going to be reported out. And then that's going to be, this full path here is going to be templates. And then it's going to be data gather.j2. All right. And then I almost always ask questions in here. So after we look at the playbook and see what's going to happen, is we'll come down here and they say, can you, why do we have to run 2 different shell commands? Well, the reason we have to run the 2 shell commands is because those shell commands are things that we can't get as a normal setup. So these servers, server name, server make, and server model, we can get from the facts of the server. But the proc type and the socket, we have to use a command to pull that manually. How would you execute the debug? Actually, I'm going to ask that in the debug when we run it. I'm going to say, can you see the debug? And then, what is the ISO 8601 basic short value going to do when Ansible date time is called? What does that do when we say Ansible underscore date underscore time dot ISO 8601 basic short? What does that mean? And we did that in one of our early labs where we gathered a bunch of data about the servers, so we could go check on that. But that's something that I think that anybody that's following along and doing these would probably know then, and hopefully that'll make a lot of sense to them. All right, so that was all in step 1. Now step 2, close this stuff down. Step 2 should be able to, if all those pieces are in the right places, did we copy the data gather? I don't think we copied data gather. We got to go look again real quick. All right. So we did, hold on, make that. No, we didn't. So we got one other thing to copy. We're gonna copy one other thing. Copy the, this one will be the data gather.yaml from the answers into data gather.yaml so that it executes correctly. And this will be answers data and that's going to go right into root playbooks. That doesn't go all the way down in anywhere. Just like that. Once you've done that, let's examine the playbook to see what is going to happen and how the roles are inherited. Right? And this is going to be just down here in playbooks and data. And then, yeah, then our next part will be copy the main over to the main. Copy and why do we run 2 different shell commands? And then copy in the Jinja templates. Okay, so we've done all those pieces. You are now ready to move on to the next part of the lab. All right, so if that stuff's all done, then they're done with this and they're ready to move on to step 2. Don't worry, we're going to test this lab here in a second. Probably about 10 minutes, but I'm real bad at estimating my time, just so you guys know. And how do we check to see if this worked? We're not going to check for MariaDB to be on the FAR system. We're going to check for, let's say we'll be able to ls-l on root playbooks reports. Root playbooks reports anything should have a value in it. .csv actually, if we really want to be specific, it'll be a .csv at the end. So this, we'll know that the lab is done when you've generated a CSV over there. That's a pretty safe thing. So now that we have the role correct, role and playbook, let's make a playbook that inherits. Okay. Oh, actually, this is where I was going to make that part. So let's execute and see it work. All right. So we don't need to create that, and we don't need to test that. So we're just going to test the playbook. Is Ranger Camp still unavailable? Ranger Cam's unavailable on this network. Yes. Unfortunately, I can't see Ranger Cam over the. I can't see Ranger Cam from my other internet. So I have 2 internets come into my house for people that don't know this, and we can't connect to the first one because Cox is just shitty. So that's all there is to that. So I can't get in there. All right, so data gather, create the correct playbook. That's all done. So we're not going to need that. And then but we are going to run the playbook and see it work. We're not going to update servers, so that's fine. Run the playbook. Hey Ashby, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate the Prime subscription. You guys can use that anywhere, and you chose to use it here, so I appreciate that. You guys are you get Prime or any of those little subscriptions, it keeps you from having to see ads. Just make sure you refresh the page so that it doesn't still give you ads. That would kind of suck. But let's say Ansible playbook, root hosts, yep, root playbooks, and we're going to call this data gather.yaml. So that's going to play. And then I'm going to say, when this runs, does it show the debug output? How do you know? Run it again as below and see if you get the debug output. So now we're going to run it again, and we're going to call it and we'll go ahead and just throw a dash VV there, so 2 V's, and then that should be good. And then really check the output of the report. Actually, before we run it the second time, I want to check the output of the report. Check the output of the report. And that can be a simple command like this. I'm just going to do this. Boom. To check that, you can just say cat ls-l on root playbooks report. And then in there, anything.csv, but if you only ran run one, it should be there. And then cat reports anything.csv. So as long as you've only ran it once, that should only show one, but that's fine. And then I just realized I forgot to make that earlier. So let's go back to step 1 real quick and just make sure that as we're creating this, we also are making roles and reports. So we'll make both of those at the same time. All right. So now that's there. So now reports has a place to go. Run it again below, and I think gather J2. Did I copy that over? I believe so. Yeah, I think we got everything we need. We got everything we need to go. Shouldn't you get that CPU info from GatherFacts? You can get a lot of info, but I don't think I can get those 2 pieces of info. In fact, when I did this earlier today at work, I couldn't find that info in there. That's why I ended up having to do those 2 separate. So I could get these things from Facts, but I couldn't get these 2 things that I wanted from Facts. I looked for them separate and I couldn't find it. So they may be there, and I would tell people, feel free to change them out and gather them if you can. But see, these are all the variables that I ended up using. 3 that were already there and 2 that I made. So yeah, that's. But I'm not saying they're not there. I'm just telling you guys that when I looked for them, I didn't find them. And you guys will find that if I can do it another way, I will. I realize like this is not a great way to do things, but it is fine if you're just doing like a one-off, grabbing stuff for management like we were kind of doing. All right, so we've got this. We need to, I think this is pretty ready to run, but now let's go check our structure.json, and we see that the Ansible-CSV-report is there. Ansible-CSV-report is there. All of these things are here. I think this is ready for our test run then. So, media reports, put the cat command on the folder report make there. Did I mess something up? I probably did. What did I mess up? You say there was a make dir. I could do that. I could do this in 1 command. I could just put a. Yeah, I'll do it in 2 though. It's fine. Media reports, put the cat command on the folder report make dir. What did I do wrong? Do I have something wrong? Here, we're going to find it here in a second. Did you see the debug output of all the variables? What caused this? Reports versus report? Report? Yeah, okay, I got report here. I see what you're saying. hold on. And over here, so report. And then over here, it's still report, isn't it? Ansible under dash CSV dash report. Yeah, that should be right. Do I have something in here that's wrong? Oh, I probably have something wrong over here. We'll look at our data gather. Nope, data gather.yaml. Okay, mean.yaml. Oh, I see what you're saying on my makedir. Hold on. You're right. So I have reports here and then report dot. Hold on. Let's go make sure. In here, do I have reports? Yeah, that's right. That's fine. Yeah, root, playbooks, roles, and reports. Yeah, that should be good. But then later, does it show me copying it wrong? Hold on. That could be it too. Ah, you're right. This is wrong. That would absolutely 100% be wrong. Yeah, it should be reports. You're right. I knew it was somewhere. I just didn't know where I had messed it up. Okay. Now this is also something we'd catch as we do the lab live. So we're gonna do our. Here we go. We're doing it live. I love watching Bill O'Reilly flip out like that. Yeah, that was a lot. That was a long time ago, guys. He was. That was a long time ago when that happened. Probably like 20 years ago. That's like dead on the internet. That's like 400 years ago on the internet time. They're like, that's back when like the printing press of the internet was run. All right, but this is us. Whoops, not this. This is us right now. This is us. We're gonna get it going. All right. Let's get rid of this thing. Let's save this up. New lab going live, and I'll push this up. If anybody wants to do the new lab with me, you can. You guys can even be like, I don't know if you guys know this, you can do pull requests against our labs. So if you guys didn't know that, we do have a GitHub. This is my GitHub, right? It's terrible. But in there, you can actually go and you can pull against these ProLug labs. You could clone these. You could work on these. We've had people, look, if you want to know, there's a fair number of, I wouldn't say like a lot, but there's a fair number of people that have contributed to this, right? This isn't just the me show. And I tell people, like, if you just want like quick wins, go in there and do some edits and do some stuff like that and fix them for me, and then that just is activity for you on your GitHub that will look good. And you can, if you tell if you're on this list and you tell me or you tell somebody in an interview that like you contributed and I see you here and you tell me, hey, somebody might call you, I will absolutely 100% say that you did shit on the thing. No, I knew what you meant, Smur. I just couldn't find where I couldn't find where my error was. I knew that I had an error somewhere, but I didn't know where it was. So I really appreciate that. That was good. Because we would have caught that in the lab here, but I'd rather you guys catch it first and then show it to me. All right, we've got our 20th scenario up here. This is awesome. I love putting new scenarios up because I get to go let people know in the Discord. And then here's our scenario. So I'm going to link this here in a second. And if anybody wants to do this with me, you can. Hey, thanks for the follow, Noel Charisma. I also lack charisma, so that's pretty good. Let's see if this comes up. Boom. All right, it's not ready just yet, so I'm not going to link it just yet. It takes sometimes a couple minutes for the labs to kind of build. I'm going to move this out of the way because we don't need this as much anymore. This is just my notes as I was building it. You guys saw me mucking around. You guys get to see how the sausage is made, right? This is, yeah. Noel Charisma, that may be the best thing that's ever happened to me. Somebody followed the channel just to laugh. Probably at me. I probably deserved it. But all right, so we'll give this a second. And I would normally, again, go check on Ranger Cam or do something else. But really what we were doing right now was just kind of getting a new lab built. So I love telling the guys, hey, there's a new lab up for you to go do. But before I ever do that, this is the one last thing, to laugh and learn. Yeah. We'll learn something. Whether I tell you guys all the time, even if all you did out of this was realize that you can do it, because I think people don't think that they can do this stuff, and I'm like, you guys absolutely can go do this. If I'm doing this stuff professionally, just the next generation has to know that they can do it, right? All right, so let's see if this lab comes up now. All right, and I don't think the lab's going to be without errors, guys. The lab may have errors in it. Robodom, I think there's a 20-second thing, but give it a second, Robodom, because sometimes it comes up later. Did it come up finally? There it is. All right, I'm going to pin this lab, And we've never done this lab before, so I'm going to leave it up there for a while manually. But if you guys want to do the lab with me, hop in there, and let's see what happens here. It says, welcome to Prolog Ansible. That's what typically happens in our lab, so that's good. Flat Earth Dave, I don't really do much on the Windows side. It's actually funny. If I showed you guys my resume, my little mock resume that I have up, I do not advertise. I do not advertise in any way that I do Linux or Windows. Even though I've been a Windows guy my entire career as well, but I am a Linux engineer first and foremost. So no, I don't. Short answer is no. Do I understand it well? Yes. But I don't have it anywhere on my resume. My one-page resume that I typically would send if somebody wanted to talk to me about doing something, and they maybe need to get it through like a project manager or some a government contract or something, and they just need to know something about me, I'll send them this little one-page one. But yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Yeah, it's funny. PowerShell does do that, but you can go upper or lowercase with PowerShell. So, but most of the commands, it's kind of like how SQL is. They show you those commands, but I don't know if you guys knew this, but SQL will take all of them. But I can't stand it either. But then again, I don't like when there's spaces in Linux commands like IP adder. I don't like that either. But I deal with it because it's life. All right. Management has requested that you provide information about all the systems in your HPC cluster and give it to them in a format that they can digest via Excel. You have decided to build an Ansible playbook that can report out in .csv format and make them happy. Well, as happy as they can be, right? So let's verify our host file exists. Cat root hosts. Boom, got that. Create a playbook called root playbook roles. That's not what I want. I need to fix that. Root playbook roles should read root create a directory called root. Oh no, that is right. Okay, yeah, create a directory called root playbook roles. Yes, we do want that. Create one galaxy inside of root playbook roles called data gather. We do want that. Okay, update the data gather roles to properly do their functions. Update the data gather role to properly do their function. Okay, that should all be not plural. Update the data gather role to properly do its possessive function. Can be referenced from answers file. Okay, Control S. So this will be updated on our next run of the playbook or of the thing. Which Unix AIX? What are you talking about with upper or lowercase? No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about in PowerShell or in Windows. You can do upper or lowercase for commands. Also SQL. Oh, you're talking about my AIX? Yeah, I've done AIX, HPUX, and Unix. Unix was Solaris. Oh wait, where did that go? Did I close that? I don't know where my resume went. I closed it all down. Yeah, I don't have it open anymore. But yeah, on my resume, my AIX was Solaris. Oh no, that was Unix. My AIX was back on IBM Systems. Was my AIX? That was a long time ago. I've done a lot of Unix over my years. In fact, so much that my old boss, one of my old bosses, Daniel Vigil, he used to get really mad if you did Unix and you didn't type it like this in an email. He would get pissed at you. He's like, "It's Unix. It's all uppercase." And I'm like, "Ah." All right. Let's get this going. Let's run through and make sure that this works for people. Cat root hosts. Make all our directories. We're gonna check and then make our Ansible. So tree had nothing in it. Nothing's there. Then we're gonna do an ls-l in a tree and see everything is there. That's good. Let's copy in our playbook and copy answers data gather.yaml to root playbooks data gather. Cannot stat answers data gather. So ls-l answers. Well. Oh, hold on. Oh my gosh. Did I? Yep, there it is. Well, that was dumb of me. So I didn't build the structure of this right, in that assets are here, and then in our index.json, I said drop them in. That one is in the right spot, but these ones are referenced off of root answers, and I don't want that. I want them just to be down in an answers file. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to have to repush this, and we could keep doing the lab, but I'm going to recommend after I push this that people restart the lab. Fixed pathing, because too many other things in the lab will be broken for the average person. Now, for somebody that understands that it's not just slash answers, but it's slash root slash answers, you can go through and fix all the commands if you want. So for some of you that are like, I'm pretty good with Linux, I've been doing it all the time, feel free to keep going through the lab. I'm going to recommend that after this pushes, we'll give it a minute here, that other people that want to do this, they're with me, reset it, because then it'll be a little more straightforward. So we're gonna give it a second, because the lab does take a few seconds to reset, maybe about, I don't know, 30 or 40, sometimes a little longer. And then once we get done with this lab, we'll go back through and we'll do some of the Linux stuff from yesterday, because I think that Linux stuff's real valuable for you guys, you people that have been around for a while doing this with us. All right. And in case you guys didn't know, some people like YouTube, so we do have a YouTube channel now, and I should be streaming over there. I think it should be working for you guys. Last we checked, it was still working. So, all right, we're gonna give that a second. If you are in the lab, feel free to reset it, and if you're not in the lab, it is up there as a pinned message. So you're welcome to hop on and go in here and do this with me. I think I've gotten past that part now, so now we should have that part fixed, and I should just be able to ls answers. And nope, it's not there yet. So this lab is still there, but the lab hasn't been updated itself. So you want to back out of it if you're in there, or just wait a minute or two. I'm gonna give it another minute or so before we hop on into that lab, and then we'll go on and we'll find it. And again, like I said, before I release these for you guys online, I'm doing it right away. Like you guys are doing it live with me, so you get to see all the errors. But typically when I release it to the professional Linux users group, which is our Discord, I leave it as the I always wait until I've edited it and checked it a few times. Oh, by the way, looks like we got our 900th person. Let me go check in the server. That's actually pretty cool if that's true. Escape out of there. You can actually see in servers nowadays how many people are in the server. And hold on real quick. I want to see. Should be right up here under server. Give me 1 second here. I know I can see. Members, there it is, members, and it says we got 900 members. That's super cool, guys. That might not mean anything to anybody else, but that means something to me. I was hoping to get us over 1,000 members by August, but then I'll just accept 1,000 members by the end of the year. That would be fine too. And that's still going to be some work, because that's only 6 more weeks, Still got to go grind out and find more people. Yeah, Robodom, need you guys all to tell your friends. Everybody go out and get a friend. Tell them to come do Linux with us. All right, I'm going to go back in the lab. Let's see if the lab has been updated. If it has been updated, I will see it in right here. I'll see it even before I make it bigger here. Yep, there it is. Now it's been updated. So answers will be populated, not root answers. It'll be over an answer. So we're good. We're good to go on the lab. I'm going to wait 30 more seconds, though, because I know a bunch of people have to come back from break. And when you get back from ad break, then we'll go. By the way, you guys have a bunch of commands you can use if you guys like doing that kind of stuff in the channel. I know sometimes people just pop in, they're interested in what's going on or whatever, and we can, those are all the different kind of things that are either going on or could be going on in the channel at any given time. And yeah, there you go. All right, so Robodom's objecting. Yeah. but I can what's the there's two that only I can do. I can overrule Robodom. I haven't used overruled very often since I remade it. So when you do Nightbot commands, you can overrule, you can build things that'll keep track of counters. And I did that so that people could keep track and just have kind of fun with that, especially around the student, because I think that's one that people like to use in here. So, all right. So we read all that. We know that that's good. We're going to cat root hosts. It's there. Totally not fair. Yeah. No, this is not a democracy. This is a cheerocracy, right? So that's from a really old movie with Kristen Stewart that probably none of you ever saw. Let's create init data gather. So that's there. And then let's copy over our data that we want for our primary data YAML. And then let's look at it. And it says, okay, interesting. We're going to go against servers, which is up here, servers. Good. We're going to hit those two nodes. And we're going to do gather facts true. That's very important. Become true isn't so important because we're already root, but that's okay. And then roles that we're going to inherit are data gatherer or data gather that we just made as an inheritable role up there. Okay, so that's good. I'm okay with that. Oh, and did I recheck it? I don't think I hit the recheck button. But once I recheck it, I can see that data gather has a bunch of subdirectories in it that were created as part of the Ansible galaxy. Okay, good. Then I'm going to copy in this main.yaml over there. Cannot create regular file. Root, playbooks, roles, data gas, main.yaml. No such file or directory. Oh, well, looks like I spelled gator wrong instead of gather. So that's always a problem. Jeez. Man. Gather. So if you're doing this with me, you're going to probably have to press up, and you're going to have to go put the H in there. So data gather will be correct. And that'll copy, so that's good. And then we can cat that file, which is not going to work. Oh, it is going to work because I did do data gather correctly, apparently. I spelled data gather there correctly. Okay. So once we run that, we see that all of those values are there, and it looks like it's populated the way that we want. And then the question is, why do we have two different shell commands? What are those doing? Those are gathering the model name and the socket and registering those variables, okay? And then down here, we're going to deploy out roles. We're going to gather it from there, and then we're going to go deploy it in report dot whatever. So that should be good, okay? And then we're going to copy in the Jinja 2 template, and it says that we spelled that one wrong too. God, man, I don't know how I do anything here, guys. Data gather. I spelled two of them wrong. Gather. Right there. Control S to save. So make sure you press up and fix that one if you're doing this one along with me, because that's busted. But now that's there. And then we should be able to cat it. And when we cat it, we'll see that it's got the right output. And now if everything's there, we should be able to hit check and validation successful. It says now we have the role in the playbook correct. Let's execute it and see it all work. Test the playbook with different tags for data gather. With and without different yeah, we're not really testing it like that. Let's say test the playbook with, let's just say test the playbook. Hey, thanks for the follow, Rubiot. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Let's run this. Okay, so I fixed that. That's been saved. And let's say run the playbook to see it works. Let's just run it. One test worth 1,000 expert opinions, right? Gathered all the data. It hit everything. And then it says that it's going to not debug everything. And then we errored because Ansible vars host object has no attribute proc. So I've got something wrong in between my two playbooks here. And I can test it here to figure it out. I can VI this, and see what are they talking about. I don't have a proc. Oh, it's not proc, it's proc underscore type. Now, we rerun it to verify that that works before we go feed it back into our code, right? So this is kind of like aim small, miss small, right? And then we're going to see if we can see that it's there, and then we see that it reported out with the right data, which it did. Now we got to go fix that over here in our playbook. So in our data gather, way out here, I know it's a Jinja template, guys. It's not pretty. Proc has an underscore type on it. Escape. So I'm gonna just hit S here. Hit now, and then if we wanted to, we could rerun this, and we would see 2 output now. All right, that's good. So I'm gonna back out of that real quick. You guys can hang out in the lab if you want, but I'm gonna wait over here to redo the lab with the new version. By the way, Robodom, you've probably done the Discord in a while, but can you do labs again, just so people can see now? And by the way, that's 53 labs we have now. I got to update the little ticker on the bottom of the screen. We've got 53 total labs now that you guys can be using and playing with, right? The cool thing about Killer Coda, there's a few cool things. One, they don't pay me anything, so you don't, like me telling you to go play on Killer Coda doesn't benefit me. Actually, let me show you guys the one way in which it benefits me. Can I show you this? This is the only way in which it benefits me to have all that stuff on Killer Coda. I literally get nothing else from them but this right here. This is how much people have been using the Ansible and other labs that I've been running. This is for me to make me feel good, to let me know how much people have been using any of these labs. That's all this is. That's it. There's nothing else I get from them. They don't pay me. They put me on the front page, but only because I was building a bunch of labs. So this new Ansible lab is one that you guys can do if you wanted to. And I can also see, I can see if people are actually clicking on it. And then over the next few months, I can see how interested people are with doing it. Okay? That's it. That's all I get out of it. Nothing else. They don't like even like send out, they don't even like tag me on LinkedIn and anything. Oh, and I can get in their Slack, but anybody can get in their Slack, so that doesn't really mean anything. All right, so we see that this is updated. I'm going to go to Ansible Labs. I'm going to go, and now I'm going to try to rerun the playbook, or the whole thing. I'm going to try to do it with no errors, no fixes. Right? If everything's good here, then I should see it all work from start to finish. So, from answers. Okay. Cat root hosts. Good. Make the directories. Good. Check that there's... Oh, tree's not there yet. Ansible's not there yet either. Ansible's still installing in the background. Oh, the system's going real slow today. Alright, so the cat root hosts. Yep. Made all that stuff. See all that stuff? See if Ansible's done. No, it's not done yet. Apt is running in the background, still installing Ansible. I need to actually fix this one to have to not give that error. I actually have a fix for that. Let's go grab it from one of these other ones. So index.json. Here's our foreground and our setup. Our foreground and our background. We're going to pull this out of here and we're going to steal it to go put over here in this index.json. So in this one I just got a background and I'm going to copy foreground and background. So my background is setup.sh and then my foreground, I need to go grab that real quick. Foreground is this. I just copy this whole file. Copy. Drop it in here. Paste. And then the other thing I need to do is in my setup.sh, I need to switch it to look like this one, which is once we do all the things, we touch attempt finished. So let's get rid of this. Let's go on our setup.sh. So what will happen here is this will loop on the screen for people. until it'll loop on the screen for them until the lab is ready. So that's a better way to do this. Fixed early install wait issue. There's a wait issue of as the system's coming up. So all right, gotta go one more time around. But real quick, I can just work. Oh man, it's still not installed. Tree's still not there. That's fine. We can still run through and make sure everything else works. Cat, copy, cat, copy, cat. Everything's good. And then I still got to do the lab one more time at least. This is kind of my. By the way, people wonder, or you asked me, hey Scott, like earlier, somebody said, hey, how do you do this stuff in prod and make sure that you don't make any mistakes? Well, I'll tell you for sure. One of the ways I know I do it is I'm neurotic like this down in dev, so I don't get to errors in prod, right? Because I'm already past that. All right, good. There's our debug. Look, there's all our debug variables, so we know they're all there before we print it out. And then if we go and we reran this, we would see that. Let's add that again. Let's close this down. We'll have one more little thing that gets added at the end here, and then the lab's good. Really, the lab's good when we get to this last part. The last part is check the output of the reports again. Check the output of the reports again to see that they're marked now. Right? So check them again to see that there's more than one. And you can do it that way. One other thing to ask here, run it again as below. Check the output of the report. Is it a properly formatted? Check the output of the report. Is it a properly formatted .csv? How can you tell? How would you go tell that? How would you go check to see if that's properly formatted CSV? Well, you could do like I did and just pull it out and go drop it in and make it a file. That's what I did. I went like this and I turned it into a file. And then we saw that it was, we saw that it was a set of devices, right? This here. Oh yeah, I got some kind of, I'm off here. I've got something missing. Processor type and model, server model, socket. Socket's not over the right thing. Or does Sandy Bridge have a comma in it? That's not good. Why did Sandy Bridge get the, oh, did I have a space? When I copied this out, I think it did a new line character, which would have caused a problem as well. But for the most part, that's good. Although this should have been over here. I think something happened here, but that's fine. We're not too worried about that. Again, you got to go play with your data sometimes. I can go in here. If that's all updated, which it should be, I'm going to hit Control S to save that one, and then I'm going to say fixed end of lab. Ooh, actually I have one other thing for sure I have to fix on here. At the end of all this, you've got your finish. And look at you learning Ansible. You created a role that pulled information and then reported it out in a .csv format to keep the management fed full of tasty information, right? Managers want their tasty information. That's what managers need. And then we say updated finish.md. Right, that's just markdown. That's all that is. All right. So that's the lab. Lab should be built now. Now all we got to do is let it pretty much run through it one last time, right? I like to run through them at least just that one last time to see them happen. Make sure that everything's working right, and then we'll go from there. Let me see if my little video thing's working over here. Okay, I got some new emotes or something over on the YouTube side. I don't know what any of that means. Yeah, we did it live. This was us. This was mostly us, and this was also us. I love Homer with the. Are you just holding on to the can? That's I've been that engineer sometimes. Like, are you just holding on to the can? All right, so let's give that. I'm gonna give that a second to load up, and then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna try it one more time. I'm gonna give it one more little college try here, and then I can report out to the Discord that we've got another lab ready, and some of our engineers will go play with them and test them. You guys are always welcome to do the labs, right? You're always welcome to get in there and test them and practice around with them, and we'll see how this works here. So I'm gonna do the lab. It's pinned for you guys there, so feel free to hop in here and do it with me, and let's do it. So now it's going to sit here on this until the scenario is installed. So we're going to give it a few seconds to install. It's waiting until the file temp finished is written. Once temp finished is written, then it'll come out of that loop. So if I go over here, setup, the last thing it does after it installs those two things is it touches temp finished, which causes the intro, whoops, not the intro, the foreground script to stop. So that's what this little loop does. It's going to sit here until Ansible and Tree are both installed on this system. It's kind of a cool little trick. We'll also start with this. We'll get this going here in a second. As soon as this part gets done, we will make sure that we have... we'll do a little bit more Linux. We did this yesterday, but I think that people tend to like this kind of stuff because it's a different way to learn. So there's that. All right. Well, it's an effective way to learn, I think. So, all right. So the system's all ready. Once it gets with a prompt, we're good. Management's requested that you provide system information about all the systems in your HPC cluster and give it to them in a format they can digest via Excel. Okay. You have built an Ansible playbook. You have decided to build an Ansible playbook that can report out in a .csv format. Yeah, the Socratic method, and make them happy. Verify all these things, do all these things. Okay, we're going to run through it because we've already done it. All right, that was super weird, but we cat root host, that's good. Okay, make a directory, everything's good. Check to see if we can create the playbook, the Galaxy, we could. And then we checked to see that the Galaxy was there, and it's good. Yeah, Fisherman, the wife was doing something. Fisherman, I should probably do a gym session with my rower here in a little bit. But the wife had to go do something, and she's coming home a little later, so I decided to get on earlier and stream a little bit. Plus, I'm kind of happy that we got YouTube going, so we've got YT, YouTube. There you go. All right. So we're building a new lab, and the lab is almost done, so we're going to copy in some of these things and then look at them, and we say, okay, there's our playbook that's going to be kicked off, and it's going to inherit this role. Let's go copy over that role and see what that role looks like. Okay, the role is going to gather a bunch of pieces of information. These two pieces of information it needs to pull via shell commands. Everything else it just had, and we can debug that if we want to. And then we print it out to a Jinja template that's going to be in a .csv value. Remember? Because again, we're trying to feed those management goblins. I don't want to call management goblins here, but they basically are. Right? They want data and they need it in Excel format, in a .csv. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but Excel runs the world. You can have tens of millions of dollars built into a project management thing, and somebody's still going to send you over a .xlsx or whatever. All right, let's copy over a file here and look at, copy that, make sure that's there. Okay, we'll copy our Jinja 2 template. Jinja 2 templates are never super pretty, but they're super useful. We've got date, node name, server, make, server model, processor type, and model socket. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total variables across there. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 variables here based on comma separated values. Boom. So we should be good. Everything's there. All the pieces. Now we need to execute the roll and watch it work. So we're going to run it, and we're going to see if it goes and gathers all that data and prints it out for us, right? Look at all this stuff it skipped. It skipped that because the verbosity is not there for it to run. You need to aggregate the YouTube chat with your Twitch chat. Yeah, I need to probably figure that out. But I don't know that anybody. I don't know that anybody's really over on the YouTube side. I am watching YouTube, but I don't see anything going on over there. Yeah, and if you guys don't follow Fisherman streams about systems engineering topics and specifically like solutions architect stuff a lot of times. And follows are free, right? So feel free to follow him if you want, and he typically has pretty good information over there. Raleigh the Zergling. Hopefully this stuff's useful too. You love that name. I think that's hilarious. Yeah, maybe you should stream tonight, Fisherman. Maybe if you stream it here in a little bit, I'll go and you get your hair all dried from your shower and you stop being all glistening and what happened? I didn't say that. Okay, so this output as a template here. Guys, I cracked myself up. I know I'm insane. All right, so anyway, so we go look and we say, okay, we can see that one file was made, and we can see that it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defined CSVs, right? Comma separated values, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a comma in there. That's a problem, guys. That's a data cleansing problem. We don't like that. This and this. So we need to remove any commas from our data. We're not going to do it right now, but I'm going to tell you guys that that could be a problem. In fact, I'll show you guys how we're going to fix that. We are going to fix that because that's bullshit. You can't be doing that and having commas in your comma separated value data. So we got to fix that. What'd you say? What category do I have to stream? They have shower streamers. I saw a streamer the other day. Man, they must think that I really like some of that weird stuff because it always pops up in my recommended channels. And I'm like, look, guys, I'm here for two things: technology and watching people get killed on Dead by Daylight. In a video game, I like to watch people get killed on Dead by Daylight. That's hilarious to me. So anyways, we've got a problem, and I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to solve this by doing this. So in our playbook, so two things. I'm going to prove that I can fix it. I'm going to prove to myself that I can fix it, and then I'm going to go back and fix it in my code, right? I'm not going to do one and then not do the other, and I'm not going to do one and not do the other, right? I'm going to make sure that it kind of works. All right, technology and showers, yeah. No, I happened to fall into somebody's stream the other day who was standing like she was doing a shower, but she had like pasties over her nipples, but she was totally topless. And I was like, what in the F am I doing? Like, what is going on here? If the wife walked in on this, there would be no excuse. She would just murder me. The wife would just have killed me. All right, for the model name, we need to do the first half, and in this case, I'm gonna change this up. I'm actually gonna change the way that model name comes out, specifically around this awk. And hold on. I'm gonna do one other cut here, and the cut is gonna be an awk dash capital F comma, and then print $1. Let's try this. And escape :WQ. And the nice thing about this is all you got to do is run it again, guys. This is one of the nice things about playbooks like this. You just run it again. If you're in the right directory, it'll run. Yeah, Fisherman. That was the thing, is I was absolutely appalled by what I was watching. The fact that I stayed for like 20 or 30 minutes is what would have gotten me in trouble with the wife. I'm just kidding. I did not stick around. I was like, whoa, this is a bit too much even for me, right? This is a bit too much. All right, now I got to go look at this and say, did I get this to properly come out? And it looks like I did now. Yeah, so I only got to the Sandy Bridge, though. I don't got the other part of the thing. But if I look at this, I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 output, right? I've got 6 values. And then down here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have the right value. Yeah, Fisherman. That reminds me of, there's an old joke, If any of you ever see an old movie with Val Kilmer called Top Secret movie. This is old. Top Secret, 1984. That's an old movie right there. And in Top Secret, he says this line. There's this big, like, giant fist machine that's, like, on a jackhammer. And there's a line in this movie where it says, it says that he was found dead in his cell with the fister. And they're like, our best scientist, and it was lodged in his rectum. And they said, our best scientists spent 8 hours, and they could not remove the smile from his face. And I was just like, oh my God. Terrible. Anyways, all right, so run this, and we see it run. We see it debug now. Should debug out, and that's good. Yep, there's all our debug variables. There's our written out final variable, and then I can run this again and see that, yep, we've got the right data down in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You might say, Scott, what are you counting? I'm counting the commas, because it's a comma separated value, right? And then the output down here should be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the data are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's perfect. That would work, right? That's exactly what we want, for the data to be showing us this. And that's it. That's all we need. That's all we need for the system to be happy and for everything to be good. So this lab that you guys just did, if anybody did that lab with me, you did a brand new lab that we just put together. And let's go look at, we can go back in that same lab. It actually doesn't matter which lab you're in. So if you want to, feel free to hop in this lab. It's not going to be what we're doing here, but we're going to start working through some of the same stuff that we were doing yesterday. But I kind of think that one of the things about Twitch in general is not everybody's always around. So I'm going to pull up the, where's our PowerPoint, and unlock it. Make it a little bigger for you guys. Just a little bit bigger. And if you've never heard of the Socratic method, let's go through this a little bit. Let's walk through maybe how we do a little bit of learning. So the Socratic method is where two people sit across from each other. A lot of people tend to think of it as a debate format or a debate type thing, and it typically can be used that way. In fact, that's how most all of us learn it. But it's also a way to learn. It's a way that we sit across from somebody and we just ask questions, and even if you did it by yourself, you just ask questions of yourself. Can I do these things? All right. So CPU topics. We're going to start with CPU. And again, feel free to hop in the lab that I have pinned. That is one of our labs, although we're not doing the lab. So I just moved all this lab stuff over to the side. And we're just looking at a plain Linux system. And the first question is, can you list the number of CPUs? Now, some of you were around yesterday, so you guys probably know these, but hey, it can't hurt to know them real well. Can you Socratic method me, the sysops associate and all? Fisherman, I wish I could know that stuff myself. I don't know what kind of derpy stuff was happening with me, but I could not figure that stuff out when I did it. Oh, I thought I smoked that test twice, but I don't know. Apparently I didn't know that stuff as well as I thought I did. Alright, so can I list the number of CPUs? Sure. Let me undo that. I don't want that to be... Okay, good. How do we list the number of CPUs? NPROC, right? NPROC is one of the best. And what if I maybe said, could you list all of the number of CPUs across all of your servers? So let's add to this one. Can you list the number of CPUs, but then add to this across all servers? How might you do that? Does anybody here know how to do that? I can think of a couple ways. Let's see if we can do it. What servers do we have? We do have a host file here that tells us the servers. If we were also playing in Ansible space, I might ask you, what's the ad hoc mode to pull the number of CPUs for all servers? This is where, you know, it's like we pull up our big boy pants or whatever you want to call them. We gotta roll up our sleeves and do the work now, right? This is not easy mode stuff. Can I list them across all servers? What if I said this? What if I said I know my servers are control plane and node 01? So I say for node or for server in control plane and node 01 do SSH $server, and then in there I do an nproc and then I say done. Okay, but maybe I want a little more information, so then I say echo checking $server, and oops, it'd help if you did the same server both times, or the same thing. And I say, could then if I needed to, could I hit all of my servers and get those values out? I think so. Could we do it in Ansible? Cat root hosts, and we say Ansible -i root hosts. So that's going to be our server inventory that we use, and servers is going to be the group that we want to hit. The module is shell, and the argument is nproc. Can I do it? Boom, there we go. So there's the answers. That's how we could do it. Now, does this look terribly practical if I had like 30 machines? Not really. 30 machines are probably going to come to us in a list from management or from somebody in an email or Teams or something, and we're going to pull it out with a copy command. So what I might need to do is something like this. I always do stuff like this. Control plane node 01, right? So now, if I cat server list, I've got this value. And then I say for server in, and some people like this. We'll just do it this way. And then as I build these, I say do echo, I am checking $server, done, right? And can I hit the servers? Yes. Then I come right here and I say SSH to $server, and then I say nproc, done. And then now, boom, from that server list, I've been able to hit all of the servers. And then you say, well, Scott, what if one of your servers is jacked up? Because servers are dickheads all the time. I may throw a timeout 3 on here. So now, if any of the servers take longer than 3 seconds, it just drops them. So, moo time, I prefer the backticks because I'm an old crotchety old engineer that's 42 and I'm damn near dead as far as most of you youngins probably go. But this is the more modern way. The $ with the quotes, or the curly brackets. Sorry, those are parentheses. The $ with the curly brackets are the more modern way, and I think that it just looks better in the codes. But I look, guys, I've been this guy forever. I've been using this forever. There is I know of no functional difference between them though. Movie time, I know no functional difference. I don't know. I just know that I've always used these to interpolate. These also work in Perl. These backticks like this. Backtick can execute in Perl as well. So that's where I picked it up originally. And then I saw that I could do it in Bash. You know, because I kind of cut my teeth on Perl, and then I moved over. I mean, I do a lot of. I've done Bash the whole time as well, but I really cut my administrative teeth on Perl because so many people in my team were using it 20 years ago. And man, Perl's fast. I still use Perl for stuff. I was showing you guys some of that stuff. I can still just pull things quick with Perl. So, but this is, can you list the number of CPUs? And then again, I made it a little more challenging. Can we do it with any of these other commands? So Ansible looks like this. That's clean, but only if you have the servers in the right format already. Or you can just list over a list of servers, but again, you still got to kind of have them in a clean format, right? And there's different ways to do this, guys. Different ways to get this all done. There's Rodom dropping our book information. Guys, everything that I produce, everything I do, the Discord, all that stuff's free. The only thing that I have to charge anything for is if anybody wants that book. And that's just because I published it through LeanPub, and also because, you know, we got to keep Fisherman's house warm for the winter. It's going to be some cold months up there where he's at. So we gotta keep the everybody else on the stream pretty happy here. So there's all that. Okay, so we've done that, and now here's the next question. Can you tell me the speed in megahertz of the processor? And then I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there that if you can do that, if you can do the Discord, or sorry, if you can do this, then can you also do it across all the systems? Yeah, mood time. Hopefully this stuff's useful. I mean, like, the book it's in my mind, it's a thought to like go through and journal and do more stuff. I try to add more commentary, tell you to go look for other things. It's only 80% technically. Yeah, book sale, yeah. It's on sale for 100% of its normal price. Actually, LeanPub does have a pretty fair little thing. Fisherman, we're up to 5. You can ring the bell 5 times. But LeanPub has this free version, so it's technically, well, it's 4 regular sales and one. Yeah, I know. Like it's like, yeah, I don't have to eat dog food tonight. there's an old hold on, let me see if I can find no dog food for Zanzibar. It's from Futurama. And he says, no dog food. Oh, it's Victor. I thought it was Zanzibar. It's Victor. No dog food for Victor tonight. I need to get this as a meme here, too. That was me in my early 20s, you know, being just an infantry guy in the army. Hey, there's nothing wrong with dog food, but when he knows he's got the sale, he's like, no dog food for Victor tonight. And then him and his boss, they're all super happy, and then they're like, shh, calm down, calm down, calm down. Such a good scene, man. I don't know, man. Like Futurama, just it holds so well. So can you tell me the speed of this processor in megahertz? So I can go ahead and maybe cat proc CPU info and see. Here is the CPU megahertz. So maybe I grep that MHZ from that. That may be a way to do it. And then could I just drop that right in here? I mean, I could probably throw pretty much whatever I want in here, couldn't I? Yeah, I think so. Paste. Throw pretty much whatever I want in there. Yeah, boom, there we go. There's my control plane. And now I'm starting to gather information from all my systems. And I bet I could go throw that in the Ansible. I'm pretty sure I could. But there's also another way to do this, right? Like Ansible is not the best at doing shell commands. You can use it for shell commands. But that's not really what it's powerful for. What if I did this? What if I just wanted to test -m setup? So setup is going to go gather everything you've got, and then I'll just look if there's any megahertz coming out of that. So what if anywhere in there, nah, there's nothing for it. But you say, well, Scott, why wouldn't you just done that from the get-go? Well, let's look at what megahertz looks like, or sorry, the setup looks like by itself. Look at all this data that we can get out of the system. Look at all this tremendous amount of, it's about 16 pages per server. Look at all this information. Oh, I just saw we may have been able to pull the Ansible processor information out of here, right? But then assuming on, I remember the reason I didn't do it at work today was because this is in a weird format, guys. This is not in a list format, so I didn't want to go Ansible processor 0 because Ansible processor 0 wouldn't give us the first output. So that's why I skipped that earlier. Somebody asked earlier, but I wouldn't just pull it out of here. But let's go look for the other one. We know MH isn't shown, so we don't have megahertz anywhere in here. Look at all this information about the system. Tremendous amount of information that you can pull out of Factor, right? But nothing around the processor speed. Look, here's all your DNS servers. How's your servers resolving DNS? What's your version of Debian and Ubuntu, right? You've seen bigger. All right. So can we figure out the speed of our system? Yeah. We can do all kinds of different things. We can do that. We can do that. Checking server info. Boom. Right. If one of these timed out, it would just be a missing value here, and you would know then I am checking control plane, didn't give me any output, so that's a server I probably need to go remediate, right? That's a thing I need to go check manually because something else was going on with that server. And in the days before Ansible, when we used to patch servers like this, I would want to know if a server didn't come back. So I would do a check like this against all my servers, and any servers that were dead up front, any of my hundreds or thousands of servers that I was hitting up front, I would know which ones were dead. I would pull them all out, either remediate them up front and then run a clean one and see that all my nodes were up, or I would pull them out of patching for the night and note in the log, hey, these servers weren't going to be patched because we weren't going to have time for them tonight. right? And this happens. These are a thing that kind of pops up. All right. So now the next question is, can you tell me the manufacturer of this CPU? And I think you can do that. What if we just grabbed see if manufacturer. No, manufacturer didn't show up. What if we just looked for Intel? Yeah, there we go. There's the model. So we could have done model name. Boom. Model name would have given us this. That's good. That's good info. Again, the question was going to be, could I do it across multiple servers? And by the way, cat server. Sounds like phone's ringing on my music. Hold on. We're going to a different one. All right. Omnibound. Sounds fun. We can go to control plane, and then we can come down here, and if we cat server list, we see our 2 servers. So all I'm doing is taking server list, and each time I step anywhere between do and done, the first time it's control plane, anywhere where server comes up. That's our counting variable, as it were. So server is here, server is here. Step through the loop again. It's node 01. It's I am checking node 01. And then I'm SSHing over and running a command. Guys, this is, like, I tell you guys, everything I do is super simple. I don't do, like, I'm not, like, doing complex stuff here. It's just you've got to practice it and get good at it, okay? So can you tell me the manufacturer of the CPU? Yes, I can. Come down here. Can you tell me the architecture of this chip? We have that, yeah. The architecture can be found a few different ways. I can say uname-m. That'll give me the architecture. Or I think we also found, what are these questions for again? Fisherman, this is just learning Linux through the Socratic method. I'm sitting here just asking you questions, and you're giving me back output, right? This is all it is. So it's me, like, people that genuinely want to learn this will sit down, roll up their sleeves, and do it. People that don't want to do it, I mean, I can't make anybody learn anything, right? But I'm giving anybody that wants it the opportunity to hop in here and do it, right? And we're just doing it in a lab that doesn't really have anything to do with it. I have those. Yeah, I have some file system stuff. Disks specifically. Disk topics and stuff. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of them. I built a bunch of these yesterday, Fisherman. We were going through it. All right, so we did manufacture. Can you tell me if this system's physical or virtual? And there was a really good one yesterday on this one. System D dash. And then what was it? It was detect vert. This was really good. Detect vert for KVM. That was a really good one. I really liked that one. I learned that yesterday. That was one I did not know. And then LSCPU grep-i for architecture. There you go. Boom. Architecture. Right? Could we do it across all the nodes? You guys are probably picking it up that yes, we could. We could just sit here and do this. We could put literally anything we want in here. LSCPU grep-i architecture. If we've established that it's the exact same node or the exact same node type already, then there's a bunch of things that we know are the same on the servers, right? They've got a lot of the same base tools on them, right? So if you were to say, hey, Scott, could you go check for all your packages of OpenSSH? I say, yeah, I know how to check for dpkg -l grep-i SSH. There's my OpenSSH. Oh, that's way too much information. So then I say maybe, well, just give me the first one. Awk. Print. Right. Oops. Oh yeah, we always get problems with these guys. I don't know if I can do this. Here, hold on. Ah. Hold on. I can do it. I just have to do it this way. Well, I should be able to do it this way. What? It's just gonna ignore my... Whatever, screw it. I don't care. But you get the point is you can cut those, you can get rid of those values if you don't want to see them all. Whatever. But the point is you can pull a bunch of information, right? So could we tell if the system was physical or virtual? Yes, we could. We use that command. And then here's memory topics, right? Can you tell how much RAM we have? How much RAM we have in the system? There were a few ways to do this, but probably one of the nicer ones was free-m or free-h, depending on how you like to look at that. I like the free-m. Free-h is kind of busy to me, right? I'm kind of a fan of that. You can also do free-g, but tell me if you can see immediately what the problem is here. Rounding errors, right? When you're rounding in gigs, hey, do I have free memory? Well, you're not using any, but you don't have any free either, and you don't have any buffered or available either. That's wonderful. That free-g will be useful in like 5 years. That's super funny. I mean, I routinely work with servers nowadays that have more than 256 gigs of RAM, so it's definitely a thing. I've worked, the biggest server I've worked with individually that had RAM was 1.5 terabytes of RAM, so there's quite a bit. All right, hold on, guys. You got an ad break for another 50 seconds, so I'm checking my messages real quick. All right, give me a second here. Man, everybody's coming out with like these Black Friday deals and stuff. Too many chats. Yeah, I got chats on my phone. I haven't even looked at them in a while. Hey, did you know hostname CTL shows if it's physical or VM2? No, I didn't know that. Let's see. Oh, that's nice. It says virtualization on it. Yeah, I didn't know that. I had never seen that before. That's pretty nice. So hostname CTL will do that. I've only ever used that command to set hostnames. I've never used that command, but in fact, I didn't even know this command did anything by itself. Guys, this is why we do that, right? Because we figure stuff out as we go. All right, so we know how to check the RAM. Free-m. And if you're a glutton for punishment, cat proc meminfo. That's gonna just punish you, because now you got to go do math and stuff in your head. Always use the tools if you can, guys. Right? Let's go down. Can you tell me how much RAM we have used? Free-m. We'll do that, and then we can see how much is buffered cached and how much is available or free on the system. Right? Then we talked about that pretty at length yesterday. Can you tell me how much RAM we have free? Yes, same type of command. We also had vmstat, right? Vmstat's not always there, but vmstat by itself will give you some information, or you can just add a 1 to it, and it'll give you the time every 1 second. It'll give you the output of that, what's going on in the system, right? We can also set that to be every 5 seconds for 12, and this was a question I kind of asked yesterday. Can you tell me how much memory we're using right now, how much RAM we have free, how much is used for the next minute? And this was one way to do it. Every 5 seconds times 12 would be 60 seconds, so that would be for the next minute. Can you tell me how free the system is? Right? You could do it this way. There's other ways to do it. There's other commands that might help you out a little bit. We've got a nice little lab. I have this somewhere up in the Discord, I think, but hold on. It's in our Linux system administration, and we go over some of like the big observability of utilization, saturation, and errors in the system, right? And how do we look at kind of what's going on in the system? So there's that. That should be up in the Discord somewhere. But anyways, there's our output, and then I say, can you tell me how much swap we have? Well, free-m shows that. We should also be able to do a swap on dash help, and you could also do a swap on. I'm used to just doing a dash S for summary, or dash A, and it'll tell you all the swap you've got in the system, if anything's being swapped as well, right? Nothing's really going on there. There's also priorities and that kind of stuff, but we don't really need to worry about that stuff. All right. Can you free all of the cached memory? So this was a question from yesterday. Free-m shows you the cached buffer cache. Could we wipe all that if we wanted to? Yep. Just echo 3 into proc sys pm drop caches. And then when you go look, it's wiped that buffer cache out, and then more things have already started to be buffered, but it wiped them. That's really useful if somebody on your team comes along, like some dev team comes to you and says, hey, can you guys kill, we killed all of our Java processes, but we still got all this stuff in like a runaway buffer. Can you go ahead and clear that buffer out for us? Also happens sometimes with like Oracle machines as well. So like you get an Oracle database, and they'll be like, hey, we need the Oracle database to start, but it doesn't have enough free memory. Can you go kill whatever's on there in the buffer cache from when we stopped it earlier? And then you find out they didn't stop it right, and you go in there and you just have to wipe the buffer cache, and that's a pretty common thing. You don't want to do that on servers that are actually using that memory, so definitely don't do it on database servers or application servers that your teams haven't explicitly told you that they're, and typically I like to get it in writing, that they're okay with doing it. And even if I get it in writing, I'm not doing it unless it's a dev or a test or a QA environment. I don't do that stuff in prod unless I got a prod change, and we've been through like a change board and stuff. I won't do that stuff like in prod to fix something. I tell them, nope, we're gonna get on a call. And the reason is because if somebody comes along later and says, oh well, my process was actually running and somebody just killed it, then now they're pointing it at the Linux team or your Unix team or whatever your team is, and I refuse to have that. Like, I'm like, don't put that evil on me, Bobby. I'm not. This isn't me. All right. Anyway, so I think that's hilarious. Networking. You want a disk, right? You want a disk and stuff. Disk topics, right? So this is again some of the stuff we did yesterday. So this will be a little bit of a review for some of you. But how do you check how many disks you have? You're sitting on a box. How many disks do you have in there? Fisherman, you can answer this if you want, or anybody else can, even people that were here yesterday. How do we find how many disks we have in the system? Does anybody know? I like fdisk-l. I think that's a great one. Sorry, teacher, I wasn't paying attention. That's okay. It doesn't matter if you're paying attention. LSBlock is good. LSBlock will show you some good stuff. Block ID will show you some different stuff, but it's pretty good too. It'll at least show you what's there, right? I think LSBlock kind of wins this one, right? Like, if you got a lot of disks in a system, and let me show you guys what LSBlock looks like on a busier system. Let's go jump in my home lab. So my home lab is here. Remote home, load up the prolog.asuscom.com page. Don't worry, I'll make this a little bigger so you guys can see it. Excuse me. Appearance, we'll go up to, I'll make that 20. You guys should be able to see that pretty good. And you gotta wonder why do I gotta jump into my home lab like this? Well, it's because I'm not on my home network right now, right? So we'll jump into my screen session. And screen session should be good there. Okay, there. So now I'm back in my home lab, even though I'm connecting in from my backup internet. And this box has, if I do an fdisk-l grep-i for xvd, you'll see all kinds of disks on this one. So ls block on this will give you quite a bit of extra data around how this system's being used, and is the system has the system been fed into LVM or not? And being part of an LVM disk is important because it can't be used for other things. Some of these are just mounted as storage on the system. Now on this system, I'm going to be able to do something that I can't on the other. I would have also asked you guys if you knew you had LVM running, which by the way we do have LVM running out here, but PVS, VGS, and LVS are not running right now. So PVS, VGS, LVS are not running, so it wouldn't make any sense to show you over there, but on this system I can. PVS has all of the physical volumes that have been given to logical volume management on the server. VGS has how those different physical volumes have been aggregated up into volume groups. Those volume groups can then be carved down into logical volumes. So LVS is the logical volumes that have been carved from the physical, from the volume groups that were an aggregation of the logical volume management. Yeah, so there are more things. I can show you guys some other things. So PVS right here will give me a high level, VGS, LVS. This would show you if they're actively using logical volume management on a system. Now, PV display, in fact, there's every type of display. It's going to blow up the screen. But it's information that you might have to dig into sometimes. So, right, as engineers, what we need to do is know how to use our tools to see the information we needed. If the question was, are you using LVM on the system, this is enough to answer it. If the question is, what's the size of one of those disks and can you give me its UUID? The answer is yes. I can use that tool for that if I needed to. Okay. VG display, same thing. Like, only use the tool that shows you the granularity level you need for what you need to see, right? Like, you don't always need to dig this far into tools and things if you don't need to see all of those things. Okay. So learn your tools, learn how to use them, and you're going to find yourself happier and more effective as engineers. Happy is kind of irrelevant. Being effective is good for keeping the management to leave you alone, which also leads to happiness. I should be on AIX. Man, I don't think I've logged into an AIX system in 10 years now. So it's been a while since I've been on AIX. But, and I don't know if RoboDumb's around. We've got, oh, there he is. There's our Discord. Make sure you guys hop down in Discord. We have a bunch of labs. You guys can hop in labs. And that's pretty good for there. So how many disks do we have? We beat that to death. Can we check how many disk partitions we have? We kind of beat that at the same time. A lot of these commands are similar, but they're different types of things. Like, if I look on one server and I see this, and then I look on another server and I see this, so LSBLK, and I say, guys, I built them through the same process. One of them's not a one-off server that was built by hand and been around for 7 years or however long this server's existed. No, I built them through the same automated process. You'd be like, the F you did? Hell no, those aren't built by the same process. One's got 36 disks in it. They're not the same server type, right? But my point is, like, you can very quickly check these things. And if I said, could you tell me between the two servers if they're very similar? I say, yeah, I think I could. I could press up a few times and go find my command real quick here. Where was my command where I was checking all my servers? Boom. And what if I go right here and I try to do this LSBLK? Can I see between the two nodes very quickly? And if somebody were to ask you this, hey, were these servers built with the same partitions? You could very quickly go, yeah, those look like those were probably spawned from the same thing, but they definitely at least have the same partition scheme between them. That's true. And I say, well, are the mount points the same? And you say, well, maybe. What's dash? I think it's dash F. And you say, yeah, they're pretty similar, buddy. Yeah, they look pretty similar. Yeah. So look at all this stuff that you can kind of quickly put together when you start to learn how to use your tools a little bit, right? You guys have all these things available to you to kind of learn how to do this stuff. Okay? Anyway, so these are some of the same ones we did yesterday. How do you check where file systems are? How do you check what file systems are on the partitions? You can do your ls block. Ls block will tell you, which is, or sorry, block ID will tell you, as will this ls block -f. It'll give you that file system type here, which is very important for being able to mount it and make sure you have the right tools on the disk. This is pretty rare, but it could happen where somebody attaches the disk to a server for you, maybe from like a failed other server, and you need to go and attach that and pull the data down off it. But when you go to mount that server, or when you go to mount that block device on your server, you need to know the type of file system it is. You need to know if your system's going to be able to mount it or not, right? These are important things, important questions that we have to know how to do. Can you check the partitions that aren't even mounted for file system types? I'd say yes. Even if it wasn't mounted, we would know if it had a file system on it. We would see that here. We don't see that, so there's none. And I said, can you check your I/O over time? Can you check the input-output? Do you know how to, you know what disks are there, but can you see how much reading and writing into them is happening? Oh. app-y install syststat will allow you to see some information that may be useful for you on this system. Let's run this. IOStat is really good for two things. Well, there's other things, but two things that I normally use it for. One is disk information. So here's my disk being written to. How high a load. So if you just looked at this and you knew nothing else about what was going on in this server, the question is does this look like the server is under a high load or not? That's something for you to think about. Is this server under a high load? And then we abused this a little bit yesterday, but we won't do that today. But we checked IOStat-D and then IOStat-C. IOStat-C will give you processor time. So this is really useful for seeing how the processor is doing, right? How idle the processor is. And a red over there in the idle is really good if you want your server to be under low load. It's not good if you are trying to use your server and actually use it to its full capacity. You're not doing a very good job there, but you haven't right-sized that server if that's the case. But you at least have a server running and you can see what's going on with it. All right, can you verify disk read and write speed? We did some DD commands yesterday. We won't do them again, but there's a VOD if you guys want to go in there and do some DD commands to see how fast your system can read and write, right? But yeah, we can verify our read and write speed with DD. That's what we use. Then there were some security topics. Can you see how many users have logged in? That's last. And when they've last logged in. That's real useful for us. Can you tell me what PID is listening to port 22 on the system? We use LSOF-I for that. And that's 22. We can also do SS-NTULP. And we should see that the system is being listened to. Oh, make that slightly smaller so we can see it better. Jeez. Let's do that LSOF and then let's do that SS. Man, these servers listen to these listen to a lot more because they've got the other stuff on there. But yeah, there's my PID 613, which is the process ID, and it's the same one that's listening up there. Can you tell me if Bob rebooted the prod server on accident even though he says he didn't? Yep, last. Yeah, that's exactly what it shows typically, is that Bob was logged in when the server was given a system reboot command. And we're like, you were the only one on it. And he's like, I don't have root. And you're like, you apparently do because you were sudoing up too. So there's, yeah, it's a mess in the corporate world, guys. If you guys think corporate is doing good, just know that the engineers are probably pissed on the back end because of all the stuff that other people have been allowed to do over time. Alright, we're going to fast forward through that one too. Okay, so we could tell that, can you tell me how that daemon was started? systemctl status sshd, and then systemctl cat sshd as well. Boom, there you go. So you can tell me how it's all working. Yeah, Bob's always causing problems. There's an old movie, What About Bob, and basically it just causes problems through the whole movie. It's pretty funny. Okay, so can you list the kernel modules? We did this one lsmod. I didn't ask you guys. Do you know how kernel modules are loaded? Do you know where these are all defined at? There should be a modprobe.d, and in here you should have like a blacklist.conf typically, and if you've got anything that shouldn't be in there, you can blacklist them, and then you should also have the different things that can be modded or can be loaded when the system comes up. And then here's modules as well that can come up with the system. Yeah, I think it's got Bill Murray in it. Yeah. Okay. Then general system stuff. So general system stuff we went through, but can you tell me how the system was booted? Can you tell me the kernel version? These ones are pretty straightforward, I think. I'm going to be adding some more to these. These are still the basic ones. I'm going to start adding some tool ones on here. So I think that maybe I'll make one of these that'll be around security. Because I think that like, not just security of like a Linux system. I'm talking like security tooling. So like everybody always tells me that, everybody always wants to be a hacker. Oh, it says at the bottom, yeah, this is my thing. Like everybody always wants to be a hacker, but nobody ever wants to learn the basics, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together one that'll be the same thing, but it'll be learning like security with Linux. And I will do one that's all around the tooling of security. So like the TCP dumps and where we put the files and nmaps and how we enumerate systems and how we find what ports are open on other systems and all that stuff, if that's going to be something that's interesting to you guys. Because I think that I think there's a lot of value in knowing how to use those tools. I tell you guys all the time, like everybody wants to play red team, but red team's less than 3% of it. Even in the security world, red team's so small. Everybody else is playing defense. So you're probably, whatever you're doing in engineering, whether you're a Linux engineer or a Windows or a storage engineer, you're probably playing defense in your company. So it's good to know that. It's good to understand how that kind of works. So, all right. Dying over here. Red team is outsourced. Yeah, a lot of red team is outsourced or third-party contracts and stuff. We had a hard time at AAA keeping pen testers around, because pen testers are an interesting breed. You got to kind of let them run stuff and do stuff at night, but so they need to be antisocial enough to want to do that at night, and then they also have to be social enough to work with the engineers beforehand to prep, because a good pen test isn't just ready, fire, aim. People seem to think that that's what it is, but it is not ready, fire, aim. It is going and prepping and making sure that you know what are we dynamically testing, what has been statically tested, what vulnerabilities, am I allowed to pick at something or should I just report it, right? Like there's this whole engagement criteria to that. And some people say, well, that's not really that effective then. We really just need to do it like a hacker would. And it's like, well, yeah, that's probably, there's some value there. Like if you just find a door open and can get right to a database, sure, you should probably report that. But should you kick over a production database just because you found it unlocked? Absolutely not. Because what's the net effect of somebody finding that other than you? Well, it's going to be the same damn outage. So we talked about this the other day down in Discord. Security events are security events, and security incidents are security incidents, whether or not you intended to do them. Can't work on the red team. Rogue Dom, you can. You just got to start practicing. And I'll pull some stuff up and we'll work on it a little bit, because I think that people don't maybe know how much you can do with just a basic Linux tooling to see what's going on with the system. You do not need to be you do not need to be on a Kali box with the most updated versions of, Metasploit and stuff to be able to go and see if systems are, at least to the layperson, vulnerable. There's a lot of tooling we have right here in Linux that can do it too. So, all right, we'll get into there. We'll mess with that though. I think the wife should be coming home soon. She should be messaging me sometime here. We're the antisocial social club. Yeah. Well, we've got a Discord. You guys are welcome to hang out in there. I think I'm gonna drop off. Let me go find somebody to raid here real quick. I definitely appreciate everybody coming by. Let's go find a raid here. Who is doing stuff? Let's go see if anybody's doing stuff on Twitch here. Here's Twitch. Let's see if anybody's over here. Sonny Chiba's coming up. Or is Fisherman starting? Fisherman, are you starting here? Where you at? Yeah, Fisherman, you get in there and stream, and then I'll drop over on Fisherman. If you guys haven't followed Fisherman before, Fisherman, I think, go do that real quick. Fisherman, guy, bro. He's not up yet, but he'll be up here in a second. So I'll talk here for a second until I see him come online. For you guys, though, start working through this stuff. Do these labs. The labs are free over on Killer Coda. There's a lot of other labs on Killer Coda that you can do. If you're like, man, Scott, I don't want to do your Ansible ones. I don't want to do your other stuff. Look, somebody started up an OpenTofu one. Go in there and start learning about OpenTofu. That's the spin-off of Terraform, right? I don't think that that's going to pick up nearly as much as other people think it is, but I haven't even looked to see if these are any good. He's got 2 of them now. So OpenTofu Intro, and then OpenTofu Provider, and Conjure and Summon. I don't even know what these other things are. To set up a PostgreSQL and inject secrets to its client using Summon. Boom, there you go. Some new tools that maybe you've never even used before. I've never even heard of those 2. I've only ever heard of OpenTofu, and being from a Terraform background, I don't necessarily mess with any of that stuff. But if you guys don't know, Terraform is going to a business source license, so some organizations, for security of their organization, have had to move away from it. They're not going to be moving. They're not going to be using it. They're more of this right now. All right. So, anyways, we come down here. Look, Docker. You've never built a Docker container before? Build and run a Docker container from scratch. Boom. I don't even know if that's any good, but I know it's there. Red Panda. I've heard of Red Panda, but I haven't used it. Simple, fast, cost-efficient streaming data platform. Performance engineered to implement Kafka APIs while eliminating Kafka complexity. Boots in seconds, scales easily to support gigabyte per second low latency workloads. So it's data streaming. So it's Red Panda is just something else to be able to pull data in or out of a system like a system bus. I've never used it, but I know that it's there. Now I know that I could learn a lot about it, man. Look at this. Somebody put together 17. Is that 17 labs? Yeah, it looks like 17 labs. Pretty quick. It looks like there's a lot of good information in there. If I wanted to get more into that space, I'd probably go play with that. Probably a good data pipeline tool. Look, somebody put together Vim. Maybe you suck with Vim. Boom. Get into Vim. There's also, some of you probably know this, there's always Vim Tutor. Vim Tutor, one word, you can always come down here and go through Vim Tutor. So if you need to learn how to use VI because you're tired of all the other engineers making fun of you, here you go. Boom. Let's see if Fisherman's on yet. Whoa. Exit full screen. What happened to me here? I don't see Fisherman. Hopefully he'll be coming up here in a second. But yeah, you guys can, and then you can just escape polling queue. They actually make you change it around. They show you how to append lines and delete things in practice in there. So you guys can do that too. That's a great way to spend your time if you're new on this. One of the other places, and I was telling people about this yesterday, is tldp.org, the Linux Documentation Project. I have probably pulled more stuff out of here in the last 20 years than even Stack Overflow. All the engineers, yeah, Rogue Dom. If you're not using VI, that's probably true. Well, so MooTime, what I think they're probably going to use is probably CloudFormation. I mean, if you're down in AWS anyways, probably CloudFormation. and then whatever the example is, I don't even know what it is over there on the Azure side. I should probably know that. What do they call it over there? Not functions. Um, but people are probably going to lean more into their stuff. But my problem here's what, if I can tell you guys, my problem with people going, oh, we'll just fork it and do open tofu. I'm like, well, that sounds really cool. Yeah, Gromit, I'm on YouTube as well. Yep. Um, I mean, nobody's watching over there, but we're on there. My problem with open tofu is they're still using the HashiCorp language, and if they still control the language, what does it matter? Like, okay, I'm going to avoid the business source license, but what if they go the route, like, so you stay on OpenTofu, and then they just start doing that kind of stuff that, like, Docker was doing that got them kicked out of being the standard um, container management platform, in that Docker was changing stuff around and breaking Kubernetes every release. And people were finally like, no, F that, we're not using you anymore. And I think that's exactly what HashiCorp can do. They'll be like, well, we'll just keep changing their language around, and this open tofu shit's gonna break everywhere, and nobody's gonna use it. That I really think that's gonna happen, but because I don't see like you're still using HashiCorp language. Same with Vault. Everything's using HashiCorp language. So I think if you move away from it, you got to move away for real. That's my thoughts on it. But what do I know? I'm just a guy doing things. I just, when it happens, I'll be like, okay, look at that. And then what's this one? M9 Sweeper? Security with Minesweeper. Learn how to install M9 Sweeper. Integrates industry standard open source utilities in one-stop shop Kubernetes security tool. I never even played with this. Let me unpin that other lab. We're not doing that lab anymore. But that's the new lab. So for anybody that wants to do that lab, it's up there. This scenario will learn the process of installing this with Helm chart and repository. You will install that on a 2-node Kubernetes cluster and learn how to utilize it. Boom. Helm repo add, simple. And then Minesweeper will be added. All right, we check it. It says the scenario uses a values YAML file. I know that's kind of small. Oops. I can go in here and I can set values or whatever. Some set strings set these values as well. And then we can add and put in a API key and stuff like that if we want. Boom. Dash, and then add some info there. We hit check, it'll say validations failed, probably because it's looking for those values, and I'm not going to bother putting them in. Okay, that looks interesting. That looks like that might be kind of good. Has Podman replaced Docker? No. It's Docker is now, they use Containerd everywhere they can in Kubernetes. Kubernetes wants to run on Containerd. That's because Containerd can natively support multiple runtimes. Although most people will only ever run one runtime, but for security reasons, we sometimes run what we call sandboxed runtimes. And there's a really good thing on that. I don't know. I don't have it up right now, but there's a really good. If you look up, oh, what the heck is that? I can't think right now. My brain's all busted, but I'll put it on there. I'll put it on I'll put it on Discord later. If anybody, if I can think of it, but. Yeah. Let's see if Fisherman's up. Where's Fisherman at? Hold on. Fisherman. Guy. Bro. Not up yet. Not up yet. What's he waiting on? I thought he said he was streaming. Let's give it a second here, guys. Don't see him. No Fisherman. I don't know why it's giving me live music stuff. I don't need that. But we'll wait another minute or so. Other things, guys. We tend to have, over here in Discord, we tend to have a fair amount of events, but I don't have any events right now, but I do have a data analytics engineer coming to talk to us. Actually, well, let me back up a second. The guy who's going to come talk to us is a doctoral candidate for his, he's getting his PhD in economics, and he's going to be coming in the next couple weeks. I just haven't scheduled it with him yet, and then I'm going to try to get one of my brothers to come talk to the group in December. Either the one that runs OpenShift over at AAA or the one that does data analytics for farmers. Either one of those brothers of mine, I'm going to try to get them to come over. And then, was he there, Gromit? I didn't see him. Yeah, those events are always free. I never charge for any of those things. Hold on. Fisherman. Nope. Fisherman. Oh wait, hold on. Is he there? There he is. All right, we're hitting him. We're hitting Fisherman. We're raiding him. All right, guys, go over there. Get your emotes ready. I don't know, attack or do all the Linux or something. I definitely appreciate you guys coming by. We'll try to do more Linux stuff in the next few days here. And I will talk to you guys later. Take care.